All right, it's the 2025 Sort of Sporties. Woohoo! Yay! Yay! Wait, do I hear audience applause? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very touched. I am so excited for tonight's show. This is the first time we've ever went live with the Sort of Sporties, and I cannot wait for everything I have prepared for you tonight. The only award show ever where every award is decided by me. Isn't that incredible? I mean, no one else has ever thought to do this format. Have me come on and just choose all the awards myself with no regard for anyone else, and a clock that is slightly behind. Now, you may be asking yourself, Ryan, what's up with the Phoenix Suns thing? So I actually found that at a Goodwill years ago, and I'm like, what is a Phoenix Suns hand-painted poster doing in rural Ohio? So I had to have it, even though I'm obviously a big fan of my Detroit Pistons. Get pissed on. I forgot to throw the graphic in here, but you know what it is. I actually saw the Detroit Times posted the Get Pissed On thing, so that was pretty cool. Shout out to Detroit Times. But enough with that. Let's get to the Sort of Sporties. What really matters tonight? What really matters tonight is that your host was supposed to be Bryce Young. Now, I called Bryce Young. We announced him last year's show, like we do every year, announcing who the next year's host will be. Talked to him about tonight, and he just said he couldn't do it. He's really busy practicing for Saturday's game against Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams. And the thing was, they had a Sunday game. He said he would have flew down and done the show, but he just cannot. So in his spirit, I will be wearing Bryce Young's t-shirt. So just imagine me as Bryce Young, except I'm a little taller. So it's very excited for tonight's show. Sorry Bryce can't be here. Very excited about who next year's host is. Going to have to announce that at the end of the broadcast. But let's get on with tonight's show. You're not here to hear me rant. Well, actually, you are here to hear me ramble. See, the problem is, it's the first time we've ever done the show live, so I'm very excited about it. But I can't edit any of this out. This is all just going to be 100% authentic, so you should be very excited. I got a little glass of water with me. Dramatic pause on that one, and let's enter the awards. So starting off tonight for the 2025 Sort of Sporties, I think we had an incredible year, just in general. I know a lot of people anymore feel like we're living through the dark ages, and I want to say something. There's a lot of lights in this room for it to be the dark ages. I'm still enjoying myself out there, and I'm still having good years. So I had a great 2025, looking forward into 2026, but we look forward at the end of the show. Now it's time to reminisce and enjoy the past. And so that's what I will be doing tonight on the Sort of Sporties. But anyways, we're going to start off with music, as that is how we'll open the show. I think last year was the first year we ever did music. I talked to my sister. I was like, well, I've thought about doing music before because I obviously have thoughts, but I'm just not sure if I have enough to say. And my sister was like, no, I really think you should do music. And he's like, try to think of a unique format. Because, I'm not going to list you all the music I listen to. You don't need to see my Spotify Wrapped. So I tried to really figure out a format I would enjoy and how to talk about music with you all. So what I eventually settled on was last year's format, where we give out 4 awards styled after the NBA awards. So we have MVP. This is the most valuable player, just like the MVP, except less narrative-based and less stat-based. We're going more off raw vibes here, a lot more just looking at the film. That boy nice is kind of the way we're rating these. And what I do for MVP is I just think about which artist would I feel like defined my year. That doesn't mean they were my top artists on Spotify, because this person actually wasn't. It's just when I look back in 2025, who I remember listening to the most overall as an artist. And so that's what MVP is. Next up, we're going to have Rookie of the Year. This is the person that I found this year. This is the artist I started listening to. I was barely aware of them, or I wasn't aware of them at all. And now I've become a big fan and listen to them a lot in 2025. Then we have Sixth Man of the Year. Sixth Man of the Year is the person I listened to the most in the second half of the year. After June, who was I listening to in July, August? We get in the dog days of baseball. Who was I bumping? Who was I bumping right before we get into the Christmas music? That's what the Sixth Man of the Year is. And then we have Most Improved, an artist that I used to listen to. Maybe I was vaguely aware of them. Maybe I just flat out didn't like them. And now I'm a fan. So, very excited for the music awards, and let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the top billing, the top dog. You guys want to know who is the MVP for my music listening in 2025, and that was Sabrina Carpenter. Listen, Sabrina Carpenter actually has had a really interesting music relationship with me, and what I mean by that is that back, I think early 2024, it was pre-Espresso coming out. I listened to, I think it was Feather and Nonsense, and I really liked them. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember Sabrina Carpenter. She was on Girl Meets World, and I like this song. This is fun. And then Espresso came out. I remember seeing it. I think Spotify even notified me, like, oh, she's got a new song. And Spotify sometimes gives you those alerts. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll give it a listen at some point. And then a few months later, I'm actually listening to the Big Picture podcast. So shout out the Big Picture. Big Picture is much larger than this show. They probably don't need my shout out. But anyways, I'm going to shout them out. And I was listening to Big Picture, and they were talking about how it was their song of the summer of 2024. And I think Sean Fennessy declared that it was Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. And Amanda Dobbins was like, whoa, it's got to be Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. And I was like, oh, I guess that song took off. So I started listening to it. Me, like everyone else in 2024, was like, oh yeah, this is gas. So then Short and Sweet came out. That was obviously very successful. I liked Please, 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 and I liked Espresso, but a lot of the other songs didn't really do it for me. I don't dislike Taste. I don't dislike Bedchem, but I just wasn't a diehard fan. When Man's Best Friend came out, the first single that came out was Manchild. I'm not a big fan of Manchild. Maybe it's because I've had somebody call me that. I'm kidding. Maybe I have been called that. I don't know. I'm trying to think about it. I've been called a lot of things in this life. You ever think about what's the best insult someone's ever said to you? I got to think about that one. But anyways, I wasn't a big fan of the song "Manchild." It just didn't really do it for me. I didn't think it was I didn't find it as funny as her other songs, and just wasn't as big of a fan of that one. Even though I know a lot of people are, and I get it. But then the album came out. I didn't really listen to it much. I didn't really listen to Man's Best Friend that much. But then I decided, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I saw a tweet saying Tears was a song of the year, and I was like, I've never heard that. So I put on Tears. I was like, oh, this is really good. This is really good. I really like this. And then I listened to House Tour, and those are like my top two favorites. But I even like Nobody's Son. Oh gosh, I don't have a list in front of me. I'm just doing this off dome. I even like Nobody's Son. I like When Did You Get Hot? I enjoy that one a lot too. What else did I like? Oh my gosh, My Man and Willpower. I like that one too. And there was one more. Sugar Talking. Those are the ones. So almost all of the songs on the album, if we're being honest. Like mostly everything but Manchild and Goodbye, I'm a fan of. I like pretty much everything on the album. So I don't give out an album of the year, but if I did, this would win it. I was a big fan of Sabrina Carpenter in 2025. I almost said 6. Most of the time people are running back, but I actually was jumping ahead. And she's also going to win 6 Man of the Year. So I'm just going to say that right now. She's winning both because I listened to her a lot in the second half of the year. And so she fully deserved being both 6 Man of the Year and MVP. First time we've ever had someone win 2 awards. So shout out to her. All right, let's move on now to Rookie of the Year. The Rookie of the Year is going to go to a group and not an individual this year because this group has been around a long time. And it's been a group I've been very aware of. I used to hear them a little bit when I was younger. But my roommate and I were watching a certain Nickelodeon show, and he started bumping the songs. And I was like, oh shit, these are gas. So as much as I love iCarly's theme song, it is not iCarly. It is the cast of Victorious. They win Rookie of the Year. Listen, guys. There are some absolute bangers from the Victorious. If you know, right? You understand me. If you're you get it. So the Victorious cast, fully deserving of Rookie of the Year. There's probably 6, 7, 8 plus songs I was a big fan of. So yeah, Victorious cast absolutely murdered it this year. Shout out to them. All right, and they're going to show back up when we do the Song Awards, which I haven't told you about yet. You'll be surprised if you're a new listener of the Sort of Sportys. So that leads us to Most Improved. Who did I previously enjoy, but I found I enjoyed way more than usual this year? And you guys are probably a little bit surprised. You're like, Ryan, you're usually a big country fan. Did you not listen to as much country this year? Oh, no, I did. Don't worry. I listened to a lot of country this year, okay? I was a little disappointed by Morgan Wallen's new album. A lot of songs didn't work for me. He did have one song that's going to win an award, so shout out to him for that. But who was Most Improved? That's my man, George Strait. I have always loved George Strait. You Look So Good in Love is one of my favorite songs of all time, any genre, period. I found a friend of mine showed me that back in high school. Absolutely love that. One of my favorite country songs. It's just one of my favorite songs in general. And I'd listened to some other George Strait songs too. But this was the first year that I think I really went in deep into his discography. Found a lot of songs I liked. And it's George Strait. We all know. We all know All My Exes Live in Texas. Every Little Honky Tonk Bar is a song I really enjoyed this year. Amarillo by Morning was one I really enjoyed this year. It was just great stuff from George Strait. And he's got songs he wrote when he was 50 plus that are better than some people ever made. It's incredible. So George Strait, you win Most Improved. I've always been a fan, but this year you became one of my favorite country artists, period. So shout out to you, George Strait. Thank you. All right, so that was the Artist Awards. Now we're going to move into First Team All 2025. Likened after the First Team All NBA, these are the 5 songs that I think represent what I listened to this year. This is not my top 5 most listened to songs. A lot of them do appear in that, but there's some songs in my top 5 most listened to that I was like, I don't know if that's really applicable. I take it back. This is exactly my top 5 most listened to songs. I just realized that. That's pretty funny. I didn't mean to do that, but that was the way it worked out. Okay, so starting off, this is in no particular order. They're all First Team All 2025. We have my most listened to song of the year, As Good As I Once Was by Toby Keith. This is actually not my favorite song of the year. This is, like I said, they're all, if I had to pick one, it's actually the one after this. But As Good As I Once Was, one of Toby Keith's best songs. Everybody loves Toby Keith. Rest in peace, Toby Keith. He's written some great bangers. And this is one of my favorites. This is one of those you play at any country bar and everybody knows. You don't even have to play it at a country bar. You can just play it at a bar in general. Everybody likes this song. Everybody likes this song, right? I mean, Bryce Young likes this song. I guarantee it. Carolina Reaper, big fan, probably. This is a great song. I love As Good As I Once Was. I'm sure most people do. All right, this is actually my favorite song of the year. Ty Myers, Thought It Was Love. If you don't know this song, you should look it up. It's excellent. Just absolutely excellent. I actually had one of my classes in college. We had to make short films set to a music song. Really taught music song. Yeah, you knew what I meant. I didn't have to say both. But really tossed and turned over what song I was going to use. And I eventually settled on this. I had to construct a narrative, no dialogue, just using music. And I pulled from this song and used it because I thought this was just a really good song. And I think it tells a story in a really nice way. It feels like a classic country song. And it feels like a song that's going to live on for a long time. And it blew up on TikTok. And you guys know I post on TikTok, but I don't really scroll it that much. So I didn't really know how big as this was. Like, I was listening to it with my girlfriend and playing. I was like, oh, this is good. And she was like, yeah, like this is pretty big. And I was like, oh, I don't know. So shout out this kid. I think he's like 17. Like, he's not very old. And he's got an absolute banger. And I Thought It Was Love. And he's got another song that's really big. Oh my gosh, I forget what it's called all of a sudden. Drinking Alone. That's what his other big song is. I'm not as big a fan of that one. That's why he didn't win Rookie of the Year. Like, this is really the only song I like by him, but I like this song a lot, and it was my favorite find of 2025. So shout out to you, Ty Myers. I Thought It Was Love. Just an absolute classic. All right, let's get into the only Morgan Wallen song that's making it this year. What I Want with Tate McRae. Listen, this was just a banger. This was just, mid-June, driving out of the driveway. You know what? We'll toss on What I Want with Tate McRae. It was just good. It was just a good time. I mean, there's definitely people on the planet that are not going to like this song, and I get it if that's not your thing. But I thought this was an absolute blast, and I really enjoyed this song. It was just a fun summer song. So What I Want, Morgan Wallen, First Team All 2025. Next up is the song from the Victorious cast that made it on my First Team All 2025, and that's Take a Hint, their best song. Okay, there's a lot of good Victorious songs, no doubt. Take a Hint is their best song. I heard Take a Hint. This is how this actually all started. My roommate was playing Victorious songs. He played Take a Hint first. I said, whoa, who made this? He's like, Victorious. I was like, I thought this was like Katy Perry. Like, I heard this for years. I thought this was like a big pop song. I did not realize Victorious made this. And this is nothing against Victorious cast. All of them, look at them. Look at them. They're doing great work. Okay, it's a great show. Love Victorious. But I thought this was like a real pop hit. Not that it wasn't. I'm just saying. I thought it was made by like Katy Perry or Lady Gaga or Kesha or somebody. No. Victoria Justice and her homies pumped this out. Incredible. Just to diss on some annoying dudes? Incredible. Take a Hint is an all-time banger. All right, it's phenomenal. Absolutely. Sorry, I yawned. Phenomenal. So, all right, let's move on to the last song. It's making it First Team All 2025. And this is a shout out to James Gunn because I am going to be perfectly clear with you guys. Peacemaker Season 2 is not winning any awards tonight. Okay? We'll talk about that more when it gets to TV. A lot of shows this year didn't have the strongest finales. And I know people are upset about the Stranger Things finale. It's not worse than the Peacemaker finale. I'm telling you right now, the Peacemaker finale was rough. We had all these high expectations. It felt like nothing was meant. It really put a sour taste in my mouth. But the opening 20 I liked of the finale, and then it really started becoming, and I hate to be this guy, it kind of became hype moments in aura. And this is the Sort of Sportys. It's supposed to be very positive. We don't do any bad awards. We don't do any this sucked awards. We don't do any of that. So I want to get back to things I like. But one thing I really liked was the use of Nelson's song, Get Back to You. I have never heard this before this. Song came out in like 2012. You would have thought it came out in 1986. Sounds like a 80s hair band banger. How is this song not more popular? This song is awesome. I love this song. It's got that 80s rock, melodrama, Motley Crue type vibe like Home Sweet Home has. It's awesome. You should check it out. Potentially right now. Like, you could just turn this off and put it on. That's how good. If you're listening to this as a podcast, you're not watching it live, just pause this. It's still here. It's not like you're watching live where it's going to go away. Just go listen to this. It's so good. It's so good. It's incredible. I found this song when the Peacemaker finale came out, which is like October, and it was still like my 4th or 5th most listened to song of the year. I'm telling you guys, it's a banger. Straight banger. So that is the last of our music awards. Now we're going to flip into books. So last year was also the first year we did books because it was the first year in a long time I'd read a lot of books. When I was in high school, I kind of got in the habit of really only reading the school books, like what we were reading in class. My mom being an English teacher, part of that, you know what I mean? I got to make sure I read Great Gatsby, which is true because Great Gatsby is excellent. Scarlet Letter, not so much. But that's a conversation for a different time. We'll eventually do an episode of the show where I just rank all the classic literature, as Jonathan would call it, cliterature. But regardless of that, I read a lot of books this year. This is actually the least amount of movies, and I'll tell you guys how many movies I watched later in the movie section. But it's actually less than I watched in 2024, and actually less than I watched in 2023. It is going to be a hard time to top 2023. I watched a shitload of movies in 2023. It's going to be a long time until I top those numbers. I was like Wilt Chamberlain numbers back in 2023. I was all-time cooking from me. But enough about that. This year I read a lot more books, and I'm looking forward to reading even more books in 2026. So let's start off with what actually was my big book of 2024. You see, every year I pick one quite large book that is my book of the year. It's usually something I thought about for a long time that I really wanted to read. So 11/22/63 was the big book of 2025. It actually ended up getting changed to a different book we'll talk about later. I'm not going to talk about every book I read. I'm not going to run down every book I read. These are just recommendations, the books I liked the most and I think you should check out if you are interested. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this one, though. So this is my big book of 2024. The reason it is on the 2025 Sort of Sportys is because I did not finish it until the first week of 2024. And I've actually kind of amended the rules a little bit because I've made the new rule that, like, if I finish something before the awards show, we're just going to count it as the year before. Like, that's if it came out. You know what? Well, this is a movie thing. This doesn't relate to the books. I'm sorry. This doesn't relate to the books. Just erase what I've said. This doesn't. I would have edited this out if this was a podcast. I'm going to leave this in, but I'm saying what I just said was stupid and does not apply to what we're talking about. Whenever I finish a book is the year it matters. That's what matters. So I finished this book the first week of January of 2025. So this counts as 2025, even though it's my big book of 2024. Doesn't matter. So that book is The Stand by Stephen King. So I really like Stephen King books. I don't like horror. So anything he writes that's not horror or something that I think sounds interesting, like Salem's Lot sounds pretty interesting. I'll probably read that even though it's spookier. But like I don't care to read The Shining. I never want to read it. I don't want to read like most of his books, but I think he's a really good writer because I do enjoy like short stories written that aren't as like spooky and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed the Dark Tower series. So I enjoy his style of writing. I think he's a very good writer. And reading The Dark Tower, a lot of it connected to The Stand. So I was like, oh, well, I should probably take a break from The Dark Tower and read The Stand. And so that's what I did. And this is better than The Dark Tower. And this is probably one of my 5 favorite books ever and one of the 5 best books I've ever read. Now, I want to be perfectly clear with you. I started reading this in June of 2024. And I finished it the first week of January in 2025. This took me a very long time. Now, it didn't have to take me that long. I would go weeks without reading it, and then I would sit down and I would blast through 100 pages in a few days. So it was a long journey, but it really made me sit and think about the characters and everything that was happening. And this is a grand epic in every sense of the word. This is a grand epic. I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is almost as thick as my face. And I've been told I have a big head. Now, granted, they might just be saying I'm a cocky shit, but regardless, look at this. this is a big book. You know, like the movies when they get like shot at and like the book stops the bullet, and it's always like some diary. It's like this thick. This could do it. This right here. If you want to protect yourself from bullet, just cover yourself in copies of The Shining. Why is the U.S. military doing that? Do we really need bulletproof vests? We could all just buy like 15 copies of The Shining. We'd be set. The Shining. I mean The Stand. You knew what I meant. It was a great joke that got ruined by me misspeaking. But regardless, this book is awesome. I cannot believe we don't have a better adaptation of it. I tried to watch like the 90s TV miniseries. I know there's people that enjoy it. Wasn't for me. I watched the trailer for the new Prime adaptation of it. Not for me. I think we really need like a 3-part trilogy on the level of like Lord of the Rings. I know you're like, that's aggressive. Lord of the Rings, those are some of the best movies ever, blah, blah, blah. I get that. I think this story is that level. Like, I think it is that special of a story. This book blew me away, and I haven't even told you what it's really about. So basically, it is a apocalyptic type thing. There's a virus that infects the U.S. that gets out and it kills like 99% of the population. The 1% is left, and it eventually leads to a massive battle between good and evil. And it has a lot of like religious grand story overtones that makes it feels like an epic. And like I said, I mean, it's over 1,000 pages. Like this, my copy is like 1,140 pages. So it's like just a massive book. And there's so many characters, so many shifting storylines. Like this is an incredible novel. I mean it. Like this is super hard to write, and I'm kind of just going in circles. I just keep saying how good it is. It was rough for me when I finished it because you got to know the characters so well, and it took me so long to read it that it was hard to move on because I was like, I don't want to be without these characters. I mean, I think you're kind of seeing that with Stranger Things ending, right? We've all spent so many hours with these characters that it's like it's over. You know, it's like, you know, your friends moved away and there's no way to call them. And The Stand did that as a novel. And I think books are probably the best way to do that, but it has to be really good. And this is really good. So if you are interested, this is incredible. So that was the big book of 2024. But what was the big book of 2025? And did I get it finished on time? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. December 23rd, I wrapped this puppy up. I was thrilled with myself. Now, as I said, the big book of 2025 was supposed to be 11/22/63, Stephen King's time-traveling epic, all about the JFK assassination. That has been postponed. It is either going to be the big book of 2026 or 2027. It is between that and Count of Monte Cristo. That's the two I'm tossing back and forth. I can't decide. Now, I'm going to pull up this book, and you're going to be like, that's not that big of a book, Ryan. First of all, I'm sorry I made your voice sound like that. But second of all, you're right. It's not. It's just the language, because it was written in like, I think like 1860 something. 1859? Yes, 1859. Made it feel like a grand epic to me. And that was Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. I want to be perfectly clear. This is not as good as The Stand, but it almost is. It is really good. This is also a grand epic tale. And I have never read Charles Dickens before. Obviously, I know A Christmas Carol. I know Oliver Twist. You know Charles Dickens. It's like Shakespeare. Like, you know it. This is like the British writer. Like, this is the one. Like, not... There's no others. No, I'm just saying, like, this is like the British writer. A Tale of Two Cities is Charles Dickens' grand epic tale set during the French Revolution. And it's perfect. Like, it's actually perfect. It is a crazy novel because, much like The Stand, it took me a long time to read it. I think I started this in September or October. It took me about 3-4 months to get through it. Which you're like, that's not as long as it took you to read The Stand. You're right, but this is like 450 pages. Like, this is nowhere near as long as The Stand is. This is like a third as long, but yet it took me about 4 months. That's because the language is hard. This is kind of like reading a book back in school, where you got to sometimes reread sentences. As much as I love reading Elmore Leonard novels, I only got through one Elmore Leonard novel this year. This is low numbers for me. I was not stacking up Elmore Leonard books like I usually do because they take me, like a week tops to read because they're so dialogue-based and they're quick-paced. That's why I love them. This year I was reading stuff that was more in-depth, and that's not saying Elmore Leonard stuff's bad. You guys know I love it. That's my shit. But I do like to mix it up. And so this year I mixed it up, and I read A Tale of Two Cities, and it was really good. What's interesting about A Tale of Two Cities is that with The Stand, you can kind of see the groundwork being laid. And it's almost like a 3 parts, because the book is broken up in different parts in The Stand, just like this book is. And you're like, okay, This was the phase where everybody's going on their separate paths, and we get everybody together, and they break up again. I'm trying to go pretty broad because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't read The Stand. Tale of Two Cities, it's like, why am I learning all this? Why are you telling me this? What are we doing? And then the last 100 pages, you're like, oh shit, that's where everything was going. Oh my gosh. And it makes everything click. And everything clicks like that. And I've pretty much never had a book do that to me. And that is the magic, I guess, of classic literature. Because this was just incredible, just divine, honestly. And so I adored it. And that's the reason I'm thinking about reading Count of Monte Cristo, because Count of Monte Cristo is way longer than Tale of Two Cities. It's like double the length. But it's also considered a grand epic, great tale. And there's something about reading some old European literature that it's like eating an Olive Garden, having a nice cold salad. You're like, you know what? I feel healthy as shit right now. You know what I mean? Like, you feel good about yourself. It's like going on a long run and you're like dripping with sweat and your t-shirt's soaked. But you don't want to shower yet. You just want to stand there on the porch for a second and just breathe it all in. That's how it feels to read A Tale of Two Cities, and that's what I'm hoping I get on Count of Monte Cristo. So that's why I think I'm going to do that next. But sorry, 11/22/63, you're getting postponed again. I'm sorry. But yeah, Tale of Two Cities, really awesome. Really enjoyed it, and it's got like a bit of a beautiful romance in it. So it's beautiful. So those are the two big books of the year, and so now let's get into the other things I read in between. Next up is a book that I read back in February that really stuck with me because I own a lot of sports books. This should not surprise anyone. There was a period late in high school where pretty much the only books I was reading were sports books. I actually read a really fun book called Tanking to the Top, and I don't remember who the author was on that one. But it was all about the Philadelphia 76ers, and it was written like 2018, I think 2018 range. And it released early 2019, I want to say. And it was kind of like, I think like the blurb was like the Moneyball of basketball, where it was basically all about like Sam Hinkie and Elton Brand when they ran the Sixers and how they got all the picks and they built a team with Embiid and Fultz and Simmons and how like, oh, they were going to win the finals. They broke the system and all that. And I read it in like 2021 and I'm like, oh, this is hilarious. Because like, it just like didn't work. That was kind of funny, but like they wrote the book, I think a little prematurely, trying to be like ahead of the curve, and then like they never even went to the conference finals. And there's nothing against that book. I learned a lot of interesting things about that, like through that book. Really enjoyed it. But like that's the danger of trying to be ahead of the curve, is sometimes the curve wasn't there and you just drive, you start curving and the road's going straight, and now you're just in, the ditch doing flips. So that was kind of nothing against that author, nothing against that book. They did a great job. It's just funny. Like you could tell the book was like hinting at like, and now look at the position they're in. They're blah, 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 blah. And like Sixers winning, I think they won like 50 plus games that year, blah, blah, blah. Like it was just kind of funny. And I was like, oh, this is, in hindsight, this is just funny. But so this was a sports book I wanted for a long time. I'd seen it. I thought this looks really interesting. And like Moneyball is like one of the top levels. I know that sounds cliche, like everybody says Moneyball's great and everybody loves the movie, but it's for a reason. It's great. So I own a lot of sports books, and I slowly got to work my way through them because I get them so fast that I haven't like read all the ones I own. But this one was a blast. Blood in the Garden from Chris Herring. Great job. And I have a soft spot for the New York Knicks. I do. I think a lot of people do. There's something about it's like the Chicago Bears. Like when you're that big market like team that's like got a diehard fan base, but you've never really been that good. Maybe I just like orange and blue color scheme. I don't know. Regardless, I have a soft spot for the New York Knicks, and this is a great book about the 90s New York Knicks under Pat Riley with Patrick Ewing and the rest of the crew. Charles Oakley, the dude who missed the oh my gosh, what's his face? It also does the great thing that nonfiction books will do, where they'll like show you pictures. You know what I mean? I enjoy when they do that. This is a nice photo of Patrick Ewing looking out at the Twin Towers. This is a nice photo. Starks. Yeah, John Starks. He was good too. I'm trying to think about Anthony Mason. You learn about him. This was it. Charles Smith. Yeah, that was a tough break for Charles Smith. Poor guy. But just an excellent sports book. And the best nonfiction books, in my opinion, are written like fiction. They feel like you're following characters through a narrative, and this does a really good job of that. So shout out Chris Herring. Blood in the Garden is an awesome sports book. If you love basketball and you love the NBA, this is really good, like really, really good stuff. So I would recommend Blood in the Garden. Wow, we're taking a long time on books. I'm really passionate this year about my books. I can't lie. Very passionate. All right. Next up, we have Batman Court of Owls from Scott Snyder with art from Greg Capullo. This is, everybody's recommended this. This is like the most recommended Batman story of the 21st century for good reason. I finally got around to reading it. I mean, I had predicted that the Court of Owls were going to be the bad guys in Batman Part 2 before I even read this. I knew what happened in this. I never really sat down and read it. Scott Snyder knows how to write Batman. That's just a fact. Scott Snyder knows what he's doing when he writes Batman. I love Scott Snyder's Batman. I've actually bought more of his Batman stuff. I'm probably just going to get the omnibus of his second half of his Batman run. This is really good stuff. Really good stuff. I would recommend just buying this, and then if you want more, just buy the omnibus, essentially. I think there's 2 volumes for Scott Snyder's Batman. I don't think anything has been as good as this out of reading Scott Snyder's Batman run. I'm not fully through the run. I'm like halfway. Well, not halfway, a little behind. I'm like right at where 0 year starts. But I so far, I don't think anything's been as good as this. I find it hard to believe it is going to be as good as this. It's like an instantly iconic Batman story. And I think the word iconic has been thrown around a little too much lately. I just want to say that. I feel like everybody says shit's iconic now. It's like, probably not. It's pretty hard to be iconic. But people will be like, oh my gosh, iconic. And I'm like, it's like become like the trendy word to say. I'm like, that shit's not iconic. There's a difference between iconic and like being cool or likable. Like we're making iconic just another word for awesome. And I'm like, no, iconic would be like, it's like a big deal to be iconic. Like iconic is like they'll build a statue of you. Yeah, it's just crazy. But anyways, this is legitimately iconic. So, or it's literally a comic. So, oh gosh, I hope somebody laughed. This is I don't have any more to say. This is a great Batman story. This is like I read a lot of comics this year. I read the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow story. I liked this more. Like nothing against Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. It's really good too. Beloved Supergirl story. But I read Batman and Superman from Jeff Loeb. That was really good too. That was probably second best comic I read all year. This was the best. And that's why I'm recommending this one. It's the best stuff. Okay, next up, we got 2 more books. We're going to go with the one I've talked about before, and that's Heat 2. One of my favorite books I read all year. I had bought this, I think like a year or 2 ago, because I was very curious. It was right after I saw Heat 1. I bought this and was planning on reading it eventually. And I started reading it, and I was like, holy shit, this is good. And I like it more than I like Heat. I'm not a massive fan of Heat 1. I get why people love it. It's just like I don't dislike it. I think I literally titled the podcast episode about it. I wish I wanted to like Heat more than I did. I think it's called I Wanted to Love Heat. And I just don't. I don't love it the way I wish I did. But I love Heat 2. I think Heat 2 is awesome. And I think this book is really fun. And it's very visual. And it kind of reads like a screenplay. So I think that's part of the reason I like it. Because I'm very much into books that read like movies. So I like Elmer Leonard stuff. This book's really interesting because it's actually written in present tense, which you don't really get. It's very much like a movie script, screenplay style of writing. What I mean by that is it would be like, instead of, Neil Macaulay opened the door, it's Neil Macaulay opens the door. Neil Macaulay sees. Neil Macaulay says, not said, not saw, that type of stuff. But this is more epic than Heat 1. This is a grander story. This is a crazier story. More characters, more locations. It's going to be like a 3.5-hour movie. The budget's going to be through the roof, and I can't wait. If they do this right, this will be an incredible film. I don't know if it's coming out in 2026, so I didn't put it on my most anticipated films of 2026 because I'm just not sure when it's coming out. But for the time being, whenever this comes out, I am absolutely thrilled. So Heat 2, very excited. Oh, and that's written by Michael Mann with Meg Gardner. Meg Gardner, crime author, helped him out writing that. So, all right, last book. Hyperion from Dan Simmons. I had been planning to read this for a while. I don't think I had a copy till last Christmas. I think I got it. and I took this on a plane ride. I took I think it was like a 3 hour plane ride. I read this on a 3 hour plane ride, and then I read it back on a 3 hour plane ride, and then I spent 3 more hours finishing it in my room when I got home from my plane ride. I read this in like 4 days, and the 2 days in between I wasn't reading it because I was on my trip. So this book's awesome. I know it's essentially like the Canterbury Tales in space. Really good. I started reading the sequel. I liked it. It just didn't grip me the same way. I might go back to it eventually. But this book's special. If you are someone who really likes Dune, and you're like, I want another great this is it. It does not feel like Dune. It's different, but I think that's why it's good. You don't want to read the same type of thing. You want to do something a little different. So that is what Hyperion is, and it is really awesome. I really liked Hyperion. I don't really have much more to say other than the fact it's really good. There's really nothing like it. I haven't really read anything like this. It's very weird. It's very out there. But it's great. So if you want a great sci-fi novel, it's different than anything you've ever read, this is it. I think it's also impressive. It's hard for a sci-fi novel, I think, to be so visual because the grander you make it, the harder it is to describe things visually because it's fake, it's fiction, it's not there. I can tell you, we walked into the plaza and you know what I'm talking about. Whereas I'm talking about the planet Ugandar. You don't know what a Gondar looks like. I have to describe everything. And I think that's where a lot of sci-fi fails is, you can just you can't gloss over anything. And Hyperion is so detailed for good reason. And it's really good. So right now I am reading The Rule of Four. I can't remember the two authors' names that wrote that. Dan Simmons is the guy who wrote Hyperion, for what it's worth. I don't know if I said that already. Yeah, I'm reading The Rule of Four right now. It's fun. I'm enjoying that. I think next up, probably gonna read The Odyssey again to refresh myself for the film. Potential spoilers for what's going to be my most anticipated movie of 2026, for what it's worth. Probably going to reread The Odyssey, or I got some comic books I want to read, or I actually have Angels and Demons, the first book in the Dan Brown Da Vinci Code series, which I'm probably going to like. Let's be honest, guys. I love Indiana Jones. It's probably going to be up my alley. So, all right. Let's now move on into our next category, and that is television, TV. So very excited about TV. We actually have the least amount of things to talk about with TV because it's pretty straightforward. With television, I usually just say, what was the best show from 2025 and what was the best show I watched in 2025. For those of you, this is your first ever Sort of Sportys. Thank you. We're happy to have you. Can we get some audience applause for everybody? It's quite nice. They'll just do that on command. That's incredible from you guys. Thank you, audience. Because, thousands of people here watching. They're just very quiet when I speak. It's very kind of them. But the way I usually do the television and film awards is that you do the best TV show that released in the year 2025, and then just the best show I watched in general. So Burn Notice Season 2 won the best show of 2023, despite the fact that the show released back in 2011, I think. Season 2 might have come out back in 2009. It's old. I actually did not watch any seasons of Burn Notice in 2025, which is shocking because I love Burn Notice. I just was watching other stuff. I will admit, television this year, I did not watch much 2025 TV. I'm going to run down every TV show I watched in 2025. Here we go. January, I finished Creature Commandos Season 1. That was from 2025. February, I started The Bachelor, the new season. I just couldn't. I just didn't really like it as much. I don't know. It was nothing against the dude. It was nothing against the women. It was just, I don't know. Wasn't really for me. But in February I started Severance and I started Moon Knight. My roommate really likes Moon Knight, so we watched Moon Knight together, and then I watched Severance, and that was good. But the thing is, I didn't watch Severance Season 2 this year, for example. I started The Studio, and then my aunt, who I was getting Apple TV from, canceled her subscription because she had finished Severance season 2, so I had to stop watching The Studio. So I never had finished Studio. Studio had a decent chance of winning Best TV Show of 2025. I must say, I love The Studio. That was like made for me. Like that was, I'm the target audience for The Studio. Like, I'm the guy who's into all this stuff. Like that's, I got a Beverly Hills Cop poster back here. Like clearly into the movies. You know, that show's for me. So I love The Studio. That was a great show. I watched Dimension 20 for the first time this year. It was the Fantasy High Season 1. I absolutely adored that. If you like Dungeons & Dragons, even if you don't, you should check it out. Just some great improv comedians great improv comedians playing Dungeons & Dragons with a very unique story. And Brendan Lee Mulligan is just like, he's incredible. Just incredible work. So then in April, I watched Mandalorian Season 1, like finished that up. I started Mandalorian Season 2. I watched like the first episode. I haven't watched anything since. I'm saying I'm a little all over TV shows this year. In August, I started Peacemaker Season 2, and you're like, whoa, we just went from April to August. That's because I didn't really watch much TV in the summer. The only thing I watched was the new season of Love Island, and you know what? I loved it. It was awesome. So, we'll talk about that here in a second. I did watch The Flash Season 1, 2, and 3, and if you're the person that subscribed to this YouTube channel because you saw my videos on The Flash Season 1 and 2 and you're waiting for a third video, I'm sorry to inform you, I don't think that video is ever going to come, because Season 3 I felt like was significantly weaker than 1 and 2. I felt like 2 was the best, 1 was second, 3 was third, and I started Season 4 and I was like, oh, the show lost the sauce. Like Season 3, it was starting to lose the sauce, but I still liked it. Season 4... I just couldn't do it. So I stopped watching Season 4 like 2 or 3 episodes in. It just didn't grab me the same way. So I don't think I'm going to make a video about Season 3. I liked Season 3, but it was my least favorite of 3 seasons. I think that's about where the show ended. And it was just funny because I read all this stuff saying that like, oh, The Flash, the first 3 seasons are great, but don't watch past that. And I was like, oh, I'm going to keep going. And they were right. So shout out to them. They were correct. But October, I finished Peacemaker Season 2. And then November, I watched all of Chad Powers, which was a 2025 release. And I started Stranger Things Season 5, which was a 2025 release. And I finished Stranger Things Season 5 on January 1st, 2026. And this is what I'm saying. I made a bit of an amendment to the rules. If I watch something in, like before the show, right? Like before the Sort of Sportys, because today is January 8th. And we're probably going to go past midnight. This is not Late Night with Ryan. We don't have to be done at midnight. I still use the Late Night with Ryan logo. I should have designed a specific... Oh, no, sorry, I didn't. I put the Sort of Sportys logo. Never mind, I'm good. This is not Late Night with Ryan. We don't have to be done at midnight. We can just go as long as I want here in the Sort of Sportys. No commercials here at the Sort of Sportys. So I just want to throw that one out there. Oscars get you beat. YouTube wants to host the Oscars. You know who does an awards show on YouTube and has for years? This guy. So YouTube, you just... Oscars is copying me because they want to come to YouTube because they've seen the Sort of Sporties. First time I went live. You know what else is going to be live on YouTube in a few years? The Oscars. Look who did it first. Netflix putting Bill Simmons on there. Netflix, maybe you want the Sort of Sporties because YouTube is selling me out for the Oscars? It's bullshit. Anyways, I've made the amendment to the rules, though, that if something releases in 2025 and like I just finish it or watch it a few days before the award show, we're just going to count it. Like I saw Marty Supreme a few days ago. It was technically 2026 I watched it. We're just going to make it eligible for 2025, best movie of 2025. The only time you get into an issue is if I watch something like January 2nd, that was a 2020, let's say I watched like Marty Supreme, right? And I thought it was the best, like one of the best movies I've seen. It should go in the Hall of Fame. Do we say it's a 2025 movie or a 2026 movie? We probably just say 2025. Like, that's probably what we'll do. A few days after that, I watch Uncut Gems. Am I going to count Uncut Gems for this year's Sort of Sporties or next year? Next year. I watched it on January 26th. The only reason the Marty Supreme gets a different system is because it, like, literally just released a few days before. You know what I mean? So I just... If you hate the rules, take it up with the guy who makes them, which is me. So... Don't actually say anything. It hurt my feelings. But, okay, television shows. The best show of 2025. The show that released in the year of our Lord, 2025, and I liked the most. Like I said, I didn't watch a lot of 2025 releases. You're probably like, Ryan, you're a huge Invincible fan. You didn't watch Invincible. I didn't. Ryan, you didn't watch Daredevil Born Again. Fun fact, I've actually never watched Daredevil. I probably like it. I've just never got around to it. You guys know I'm not great with TV shows. Stranger Things Season 5. All right, let's do it. Listen, the first half of Stranger Things Season 5 is gas. Let's not lie to ourselves. Let's not change the past. Stranger Things Season 5, the first 4 episodes were really good. The next 3, I don't think are bad. I really don't. I think it was a complete overreaction. I think people, part of the reason people didn't like Episode 7 so much is because it's a lot of build-up, a lot of filler for Episode 8. And I felt like the finale was pretty good. Was it perfect? No. Was it insulting? No. It's honestly just kind of safe. I think that's what frustrated a lot of people, is that it felt like from the first 4 episodes of Strange Things, we were taking a lot of risks, and then the last 4 episodes played it very safe. Like, you introduced a lot of interesting concepts, and it felt like we didn't really deliver on a lot of them. But I really liked what we did with Steve and Dustin. I thought that really worked. I liked his rage about kind of beating himself up over the Eddie death and not letting it go, and I thought that worked, and that Steve not being happy with him. I thought all that stuff really worked, and I really enjoyed Stranger Things Season 5 overall. Is it the weakest season of the show? Probably. But if Stranger Things Season 5 was a season of a different show, it's probably one of that show's best seasons. I fully think that. I'm a huge fan of Stranger Things. I think Stranger Things Season 5 is better than every Outer Banks season other than Season 1. And I've watched all the seasons of Outer Banks. The only season that's any good is Season 1. And I wouldn't say Season 1 of Outer Banks is monumentally better than Season 5 of Stranger Things. I don't think it's a massive gap like you think it is. If I had to rank Stranger Things seasons right now, I'd say probably 4-1 or 1-4, and then 2-3, and in either order. I'm not sure. It's like 4 and 1 on the same level, 2 and 3 on the same level, and then 5 is probably the weakest. But I still liked it. I think it's still good. So I think it's a bit of an overreaction to say it was bad, because I don't think it was. I liked it. I just think I didn't love it the way I wish I did. But do I think it was piss poor? No, I don't. I think it was just a bit safe. And at some point, you didn't really kill any major characters, which I get fully at some point. Like, my sister was like, "Oh, they should have killed these people." And I'm like, at some point, why? If we weren't going to kill them before, what good does it really do to do now? Just to up the body count. So I get why we didn't kill people. I really do. I was actually talking so much I forgot to throw up the poster for everybody watching on live stream. Here's the poster. But I still liked it, and I think when years go by, people are going to be like, actually, we overreacted, kind of like how people did with the Lost ending. I really do. And I know the Lost ending kind of a reverse thing, because it kind of took more of a risk, and it was weird, and I get that. But like the Sopranos ending, that was a risk, and at the time, people were like, "Oh, I don't like that," and then now, people like that, you know what I mean? This wasn't a risk, it was a bit safe, but I've seen things people hated be then, years later, like, "Oh, it's underrated." Like the Amazing Spider-Man movies, we're acting like those movies are great. Those movies are not great. They're shot pretty well at some points, not the whole time, just some points. And because of that, you see a cool edit of it on TikTok, and now you think it's a good movie. It's not. It's not. Let's not lie to ourselves, kids. So let's not lie to ourselves about this either. I think it being a terrible season of television, that's not true. It's just not. Is it as much of a masterpiece as other seasons of Stranger Things were? No. I actually started watching an episode of season 4 the other day, and I was like, ooh, we really had it going on, didn't we? We really did have something going on. And Season 5 did not have that level of Season 4, but early on, Season 5 kind of did. Let's not lie to ourselves. The episode where Will gets his powers, Season 5, Episode 4, that's an all-timer. We are lying if we're acting like it wasn't. We are just lying to ourselves. And so let's not lie to ourselves. This is not a bad season of television, far from it. And I think Stranger Things Season 5... the show is not forever ruined. I want to make sure that's clear, because that was the thing with Game of Thrones. Was people were like, "Oh my gosh, just ruins the past of the show." Which I didn't watch Game of Thrones. I've only ever heard about the finale being so bad. This does not ruin Stranger Things. And the whole fake episode thing, not the fake episode. Well, I guess it was fake, but you know what I mean. I actually started buying into it. I can't lie. It felt like everything was pointing to that, and that would have been awesome. That would have been crazy. That would have been an all-timer move from the Duffers, and it's. I think it shows that people wanted something more shocking than what we were delivered, right? It felt pretty straightforward. It felt pretty safe. And there were a lot of weird production errors that seemed like they were adding up. And it's just not the case. That was the ending. And while I don't think that ending is bad, I don't think it was great. It's all right. I don't think it's a disaster, though. I think over time, people will come to accept it, and they'll be like, it wasn't that terrible. And the worst thing a finale could do, or the ending of a show could do, is make the rest of the show bad. I think they were so afraid of that they didn't take any risks. And now people are sitting here being like, I didn't take any risks, and it's upsetting people. So I just think it's a bit of an odd situation. So that's my thoughts on Stranger Things Season 5. So the best show I watched in 2025 was Severance. I don't think it shocks anybody. This show, I said when I was watching Severance, oddly enough, I was like, this is the best show I've watched since Stranger Things came out. Like Season 1 of Stranger Things came out. Like this is how it felt. Where you're like, oh, I'm watching a masterclass. And that's what Severance is. Severance is a masterclass. I need to watch Season 2. I haven't gotten around to it. I know. I read a lot more books this year. Okay, be proud of me. You saw all those books? That wasn't even half the books I read last year. I read a lot of books. So Severance is awesome, though. If you don't watch Severance, you should watch Severance. Season 1 released in February 2022. I remember thinking it looked interesting. I just didn't have Apple TV. So then when Season 2 came around, I told my aunt, I was like, I always thought that looked cool. And she said, well, I got Apple TV. You can, use my account, watch it. And so I watched Season 1, and I was like, oh, this is incredible. So I told all my friends to watch it. They all watched it. They all fell in love with it. And I don't know how it's not more popular. This should easily be the most popular show on television. This show is special. I need to watch Pluribus, and I need to watch Severance Season 2. Apple TV is kind of becoming what HBO used to be, where you like quality. Quality is what is associated with Apple TV. And credit to them, because I think the next great television show is going to be from Apple TV, because they are prioritizing quality above everything else. And not that Severance isn't the next great show, because it is. But I'm saying the very popular show, the thing that just grips the culture, like Stranger Things did, like Game of Thrones did, like Lost did. What is that next show? Severance is more like Breaking Bad, where it's very popular with a certain sect of people because of its quality. And it's going to age really well. It's going to be bigger in the years past. In the years in the future, not years past. It's not going to get more popular for 5 years in the past. No. It's going to be bigger in the future. It's going to age really well. And more people are going to grow up and be like, oh my gosh, I love Severance. What's going to be the next show that is like huge, like Stranger Things was? Paradise. I'm kind of kidding. I watched like the first 2 episodes of Paradise. I enjoyed it. Maybe I should finish that too. See, I'm bad. I'm really bad with the shows. Shout out Dimension 20 though. It's almost won. And for what it's worth, Love Island almost won my favorite show from 2025. I'm not lying to you guys. The season of Love Island was just cinema. And I was always a Bachelor guy. Like I always preferred The Bachelor. Always. And people would always tell me to watch Love Island. And I'm like, you know what? Those shows where it's like, let's get a bunch of horny people and watch them be horny. They just never appealed to me. Like they never have. I thought they never would. And I just felt like, what's fun about The Bachelor is that everybody on that show seems to truly, deeply believe that this is the best way for them to find their soulmate. And that idea is crazy, which is why it is an immensely entertaining show. The thing is, when you talk about a show like Love Island, is they don't really believe that. Like, they're not there trying to find the love of their life. Like, that's just not the way it feels. The vibes are not the same as The Bachelor. The delusion of romance is not as present. My girlfriend really wanted to watch it. I've been hearing a lot about it. And I was like, you know what? She's like, I think you probably like it. I was like, all right. Fire it up. And I did. I liked it a lot. We were way too late, though. I did not watch all of it. I watched like the opening 5-6 episodes, like the last 2, because I was not ready for it to be daily. Damn. But I'll be on it this year. I will. I'm very much looking forward to it. Very much. I'm sorry, I keep itching my nose. I itch my edge of my nose. Yeah, it was. The show was good. It was a good time. I don't know. I don't know how they did the horny people on an island thing, and I liked it. I don't know how they did it. I think it's because the games and stuff they do are such bullshit. But I think it's the daily thing, because like it just feels like you're hanging out with these people. You feel like get to know them. Like they're all instantly celebrities as soon as the show ends. And I think it's really fun. Like the non-weekly aspect. That's what I always wonder is like, what are they doing on a Wednesday on The Bachelor? Like, what are they doing? Like, what are you doing when like the one girl's on her one-on-one date with the main guy? Like, what are they all kicking up playing Mario Kart? They playing like blackjack? They all sit around and knit? Like, what are they doing? That's what I want to know. That's the more interesting. You're like, what are they doing in the downtime? And that's what's fun about Love Island. You see what they're doing like downtime. They're doing the thing where they like kind of wade through the pool, but they have a mic on, so they're like kind of like, or they like throw around like a football because they're like, well, we're males in swimsuits. We like legally required to do this. We all saw Top Gun Maverick. So I just want to say also, before we get into the movie section, a movie that is aged exceptionally well, like just a movie that's perfectly aged. Top Gun Maverick. The other day I was at a friend's house. We were watching college football. Shout out Miami. They just won a few minutes ago. They're going to the national championship. Hopefully to lose to the Indiana Hoosiers, because that's been a really fun story this year. I love Kurt Signetti. I'm a big fan of everything he's doing. But anyways, back to what we were saying. We were talking about like what we're going to put on next, and eventually he just like flips the channel and puts on, Paramount was running Top Gun Maverick. And I was like, we were all just like, oh yeah, I love Top Gun Maverick. And it was like at a point where he's on the beach and they're playing football, which is a great scene. It's a great scene. It's got the One Republic song playing, everybody's having a great time. And I'm like, this movie has the energy of an 80s movie in every aspect, because it has that, like, you flip to it on cable on, like, TNT or Paramount Network, and you're like, oh, hell yeah, I'll catch this for 20 minutes, and then you end up watching it the rest of the way. That's what's really special about Top Gun Maverick. And some Marvel movies have that. I think Captain America Winter Soldier has that. I think Iron Man 1 has that. I think Spider-Man Homecoming has that. But when you're really cooking, like, a classic movie like that, it gets those vibes. And I love the movie F1, and F1 is going to come up in these awards, and for damn good reason, because it has that vibe of those movies that are just going to live on, where like people are just going to put them on in the background and like be like, everybody looks up at one point, it's like, oh yeah, this part's gas. Those movies are special, and I think, holding on to those movies, like I think Top Gun Maverick's a movie that in like 10 years people are going to remember and be like, I remember seeing this movie like in the theater, show this to my, and they're going to show it to their kids. Like, I think it's a really special movie for kids my age, and obviously that's really impressive for a movie that's a sequel to a movie from 1986. Like, that's nuts that they made the greatest legacy sequel of all time, like, easily, because it appeals to people that watch the original, but it's become special and like feels like a part of the culture of people my age. And I just think it's absolutely awesome. I love Top Gun Maverick. I think it's special. I want more movies like that, and I think my guy Glenn Powell is trying to do that. And I liked Running Man, but it is not one of the best movies of the year. It is just not. So Running Man was good, but it was not great. All right, before we get into every movie I watched this year, we need to talk about some new awards in the movies section, because I wanted to add this award last year, but it wouldn't really have fit. So I put a reminder on my phone. I wrote it like December 2024, and I set it to remind me in December of 2025 to add a new award. And this award is called the Glenn Powell Award. And this award goes out to whatever actor or actress I decide in that year becomes my guy. Like, one of these new people that I'm like, okay, whatever you're in, I have to see. And so Glenn Powell, the reason it's named after him, is because he had that effect on me in 2024. I saw Anyone But You, and I had already liked Glenn Powell after Top Gun Maverick. I was aware of Anyone But You like 4 months before it came out. I remember being like, oh yeah, I'll probably see that. And then like fast forward a couple months and everybody's seeing it, and it's like this big movie. It's really popular, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, Ryan, I haven't seen Anyone But You. And I was like, no, not yet. Like, I was planning on it, and I didn't realize it became this big of a thing. It's like I had stock on Glenn Powell way before he took off, and I was a big fan of Glenn Powell. I even liked him in Hidden Figures. Like, I liked him back like Hidden Figures days. And I'm really excited for the stuff he's doing. I'm really excited for How to Make a Killing. I'm really, really looking forward to that. And this year, I was really tossing and turning, because I wanted to do this award, and it came time to name it. It was like late November. I'm sitting there, and I started thinking about the Sort of Sportys around the time Thanksgiving. And I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know who's going to win. Like, I made this award, but like no one has really blown me away, because the two candidates I was thinking about were Timothy Chalamet and Bradley Cooper. Because I was a big fan of Bradley Cooper from last year when I watched Limitless and Silver Linings Playbook. He really sold me on him. But I'm like, that doesn't really count, because that was December 2024. I mean, I have a whole podcast episode, Sort of Sports podcast, called the Bradley Cooper episode, where I just go on and on about how I used to think Bradley Cooper wasn't that good of a dramatic actor and he should have stayed at comedies, but then I finally took a chance to watch one of his dramatic movies and realized, holy shit, I'm wrong. He's actually awesome. So that didn't really work. And the thing is with Chalamet kind of became one of my guys in 2024. I saw Dune Part 2, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this guy. Like, everything they'd ever said about this dude, everybody said back, like, like back in like 2020, they were saying this is the next great movie star, and I was like, all right, I'll wait till I see it. And then I saw it in Dune Part 2. I'm like, oh no, this is the guy. Like Wonka made like over $600 million. Like Wonka was a massive hit. I don't know how the hell that happened. And so like, shout out this dude. That's incredible. And like Dune Part 2, weird ass movie. I loved it. It made a ton of money. He made a ton of money for a weird ass movie. And so that was when I was like, oh, he's going to be the Bob Dylan movie? Yeah, it's probably going to make money. He's probably going to get an Oscar nom. And he did. And I honestly was hoping he was going to win. I haven't seen Bob Dylan yet. I know you're like, really? He's one of your guys? We haven't seen that yet? I know. I'm going to be honest, the music biopics, I'm not really into them that much. Like, I'm going to go see the Beatles ones because they're interesting. But, like, I'm just not a huge fan of them. I know some people are. They're just not for me. Not in general. Like, it really depends on the actor and who the artist is. So if both are interesting to me, then I'm in, right? Like the Michael Jackson movie, I'm just not that interested. I like Michael Jackson's music a lot, but I am not that intrigued to go see a movie about his life. Whereas Ray, the other hand, starring Jamie Foxx, yeah, I'm in. I'm instantly in. Like I'm interested with, what Ray Charles' life story is and what, how Jamie Foxx plays that. Yeah, I'm in. So like that's the difference. But the Bob Dylan, like I don't really care about Bob Dylan. I just don't. But I like Chalamet, so I'm gonna watch it soon. But it felt wrong to make it Chalamet because Chalamet was already one of my guys before 2025. I was like, okay, well I guess we're just gonna give it to Chalamet and we're gonna move on. But notice how I've been talking in past tense. Because on December 19th, I'm kidding, I don't really remember what day it was, I watched a little movie called Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. And it starred a young lad that's been working in the industry a long time. And he was in a movie that's already in the Hall of Fame. And he was my least favorite out of the three leads. And yet in this film, he gave such an interesting portrayal that he instantly became one of my guys. I think you can already figure it out. Father Judd, please step up. Josh O'Connor wins the 2025 first ever Glenn Powell Award. Josh O'Connor, oh, wrong way. Josh O'Connor, you are now one of my guys. I'm interested. If you're in a movie, I'm interested. That doesn't mean I'm seeing it, but I'm interested. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm curious. Because you was so engaging as Father Judd in Wake Up Dead Man. He was so interesting. One of, if not the best performance I've ever seen. I think a lot of it's the writing. Rian Johnson wrote a really great character. But his performance, one of the best performances I've seen of a minister in film. Not just in general. Sorry. Not one of the best performances I've ever seen. One of the best performances and representations of a minister I've seen in film. So engaging and so interesting. It's such an interesting representation of the church in film. That entire movie, everything going on in it. I'm gushing about Wake Up Dead Man. We're not even at the point where I'm supposed to talk about it. That's how big of a fan I was of this film. And he is the reason it clicks. Marty Supreme is a movie that is fully on Timothée Chalamet's back, and he makes it work. I loved Marty Supreme. Thought it was really fun. Wake Up Dead Man is better, and it is on Josh O'Connor's shoulders to make it work. And it works. Benoit Blanc is the reason I love these movies. Full disclosure. Fully the reason I love these movies. Does not show up for the opening 35. This guy's on the screen. I was like, what the hell are we doing? Within the first 5 minutes, I didn't care. I was like, no, this rocks. This guy's so interesting. Josh O'Connor blew a lot of people away, and I cannot wait for Disclosure Day. I am really, really looking forward to Disclosure Day, which is his next film, which is directed by Steven Spielberg, and it's going to be his first movie covering aliens, I think, since War of the Worlds. Oh, it's going to be good, and he is the lead alongside Emily Blunt. Cannot wait. Now, the next award is very specific because I just wrote this in the other day because I go to my favorite theater, but they did not have a showing of Marty Supreme. It's a smaller theater. They only has 3 screens. So I had to go to a larger theater. So I went to a Cinemark. It's about 40 minutes from my house. And they had Junior Mints in a cooler. And I like Junior Mints, but I always feel like they're better cold. I was like, oh, they got Junior Mints in it's like a fridge. I don't know why I said cooler. So I got the Junior Mints out and I bought them. And I'm sitting there eating the Junior Mints and I'm like, yeah, this is the best this is the best theater snack other than popcorn. So the award for best theater snack that is not popcorn, Junior Mints. I mean, can we get a round of applause for Junior Mints? Like Junior Mints, I didn't really expect. Thank you, guys. You were late on the applause, but thank you. Junior Mints, I did not expect to give an award to Junior Mints tonight, but Jerry Seinfeld would obviously be proud. But Junior Mints, big year for them in 2025. I kept my box that had like 12 left, brought them home, put them in the fridge, had a little pre-dinner snack. Junior Mints out here putting up numbers. I mean, everybody said Junior Mints was washed. Everybody said Junior Mints was out of their prime. People are like, oh, people don't know who Junior Mints are anymore. Apparently not. They haven't changed the box since like 1965. And guess what? They haven't changed the flavor either because they're still damn good. So Junior Mints, shout out. Next time you go to the theater, buy a pack. They're gas. If you can get them cold, elite. Junior Mints, blown away by you this year. Great job to Junior Mints. One of my guys. All right, now let's get into my stats for the year. This year, I watched 62 films in total. That is 15 less than I watched in 2024. In 2024, I watched 77. Like I said, I read more books. I was also doing, I think I did more podcasts than I've ever done before. And I've started doing the late night live stuff. And I really enjoyed doing this new stuff. So hopefully, everybody's enjoying it. I'm still putting up this stuff as podcast audio. And so doing all this stuff, like I've just done more of this, more videos on Instagram, more videos on YouTube, more videos on TikTok. Now, granted, it's the same stuff on everything. If you follow me, it's Ryan Klinger 1 on Twitter and Instagram. And then on YouTube and TikTok, it's just Ryan Klinger. I've been doing more of that stuff, so I think it's also affected my movie watching time because I'm like, it's 2 hours. I could be watching a movie, and I'm like, I'm going to do an episode. You know what I mean? So, all right. Let's get into my top 5 movies of 2025, but we do have a couple honorable mentions. So we have Predator Badlands was a movie I saw in November. A friend of mine recommended it. He's like, hey, are you going to see Predator Badlands? And I was like, no, I don't care. And he's like, dude, you would like it. Trust me. And I went and watched it, and I was like, oh. I debated making it 5th on my top 5 movies of the year. I thought it was that good. I'm going to full disclosure. 5th is Avatar Fire and Ash. Just going to say it right now. Predator Badlands is almost as good as Avatar Fire and Ash. I'm being so serious. In my opinion, I love Predator Badlands. It was awesome. It is like somebody sat down. I think his name David Trachtenberg, I want to say. The director of Predator Badlands. He also directed Prey. It's like he sat down and was like, what if we did Avatar of Predator? Everybody was like, excuse me? And he was like, wait a minute. What if we did Avatar of Predator? And then the movie flashed before his eyes, and he was like, oh, wait, that's a masterpiece. It was awesome. Just a great time. Just a great time. And it was like a surprise box office hit, and I hope we get a sequel to it, and we follow those characters more. I loved it. I've never seen a Predator movie in my life. Never. I probably would like the Arnold Schwarzenegger one. I probably like Prey. I haven't watched them. Predator Badlands, though, I loved. It was awesome. And it's not often you get a fully original sci-fi film. You just don't. A lot of that stuff's got to be bigger budget. Got to be some sort of IP. And granted, Predator is IP. I understand that. But it's just using the Predator IP to give us an entirely new story. And I thought it was a great time. And yeah, I loved Predator Badlands. If you have any interest, you need to check it out. Next honorable mention is Fantastic Four: First Steps. I really like this movie too. I thought this was really good. This is the best Fantastic Four movie. Really like the way the cast played it. Thing is, Fantastic Four, we've had 2 casts that were really good. Van Forstic is not a good cast. But the Gruffald, I forget how to pronounce his first name. The guy who played Mr. Fantastic alongside Jessica Alba. Him, and then the Michael, is it Chiklis? It's the guy from The Shield. He plays the Thing in those. And then obviously Chris Evans is Human Torch. That's a great cast. And I thought it was going to be hard to top that. And I don't know if this movie tops it. But it's right on the same level. They're basically even in my mind. I just have a soft spot for those old Fantastic Four movies because I think the cast is really what makes it work. This is a much better movie in general. The cast does not have to do as much heavy lifting. Pedro Pascal's Mr. Fantastic. Really great. Really enjoyed that. So I really liked Fantastic Four First Steps. Marty Supreme is an honorable mention. I wanted to put a top 5. It's aged well in my mind. My first Safdie Brothers film, I actually watched Uncut Gems like 2 days later. I really liked Marty Supreme. I think I like Uncut Gems better. Uncut Gems might end up coming up in the 2026 Sort of Sporties. Potential like 356 day early spoilers. It's probably 365. I'll probably be recording this like an early day in January next year. So it might be like year early spoilers for 2026 Sort of Sporties because I really liked Uncut Gems. But I like Marty Supreme a lot. The opening credits are some of my favorite I've ever seen in any movie. There were multiple points in Marty Supreme where my jaw dropped. I was like, oh, we're really doing this. Like some of the things he would say, some of the things he would do, things that were happening. I was like, this movie rocks. So it's Marty Supreme. It was great. And I loved all the marketing stuff Chalamet been doing. I really liked Marty Supreme. I want to be completely clear. Like, I think it's been a great year for movies. I think we had a lot of great stuff. And it looks like 2026 is going to be on that level of really great stuff. So I'm really looking forward to 2026. But we're not done talking about 2025 because I got another honorable mention. Hard Eyes. Great surprise. The dude from College Humor made this. Like the one who's like the 5 roommates you'll have in college, or like the 6 girls you'll date in college. That guy, I forget his name all of a sudden, but he directed Hard Eyes, and it's really fun. And like for anybody that watched like Kicking It back in the day, Olivia Holt's the lead, and Mason Gooding, who I think is great in everything and should be cast in like rom-coms all the time. He's great in it. It's like a rom-com mixed with a slasher horror flick. It's just an absolute blast. Hard Eyes was a great surprise this year. Really enjoyed it. I'm being serious. Like in 2024, I think Predator Badlands would have made my top 5 of the year. I'm being like fully serious. I like my top. Let me pull up real quick. I'll grab my phone. We'll go to the top 5 movies from the 2024 Sort of Sporties. Yeah, I had the Gladiator 2 4th and Bike Riders 5th. I think I liked. I'm being serious. I actually think I liked Predator Badlands maybe more than both of those. I think Bike Riders has aged better in my mind than Gladiator 2 has. But like there's Marty Supreme also like near those levels. Like my honorable mentions this year, movies I really like. I could have done a top 10 honestly this year and just put Running Man 10th, but I like keeping it at 5. Now this picture of Avatar: Fire and Ash has been sitting here a while, so let's talk about that movie. It was funny. So I was like, am I really going to put Avatar top 5? And I was thinking about it. I'm like, I think this is my favorite of the Avatars. I'm really excited for 4. I'm sure we're going to get it. This is my favorite. This is the most absurd one yet. I think James Cameron is now starting to let loose a little more with what we're doing. And I did feel like the final act was a bit repetitive. But it's weird with these Avatar movies. It's like they're brainwashing me. Because I remember when I first watched Avatar 1, I was not that impressed. You guys can go back and listen to the old pods on the Sort of Sports podcast. I was not blown away by Avatar 1 when I first watched. I was like, really? This is one of the highest grossing movies of all time? Like, are we serious? And I saw Avatar 2 and I liked it. I think it was 5th for the top 5 movies of 2022. At the first ever Sort of Sporties, before we called it that, it was just like my Sort of Sports podcast, like TV and movie awards. You know, we weren't as good at naming things then. But I liked Avatar Way of Water more than I liked Avatar 1. Well, now when I go back and I watch Avatar 1, I'm like, oh no, this is gas. And I go back and I watch Avatar 2, I'm like, yeah, I love this movie too. So like they've aged really well. And I think Avatar Fire and Ash is when they kind of hit that Mad Max spot for me, where I'm like, this is unlike anything I've ever seen. And so it feels like at bare minimum, it's great. I know that might sound dumb, because like, well, just because it's different means it's good. And that's not what I'm saying. Like, there is just such a different vibe about these movies that I'm just like infinitely impressed. Does that make sense? Like when you watch Mad Max Fury Road, there's no movie that feels like Mad Max Fury Road other than Furiosa. And even then it doesn't feel exactly like Fury Road, right? That's how Avatar Fire and Ash feels. Like there is no other movie that's doing the things this is doing. And just because of that, I'm kind of instantly blown away. And so that's what Avatar Fire and Ash did. I think this is the most impressive one. Not like in some sort of effect they did or anything like that. I just feel like we're doing a lot in this. There's a lot, like we're getting to the point where like these characters are more interesting. There's more depth to what's happening. And Quaritch has become the most interesting character in the saga, when in movie 1, he was the most generic bad guy. But now when I go back and watch movie 1, it's so interesting because I'm like, I know what you're going to become. And I think if Quaritch gets a redemption arc in 4 or 5, that will end up being probably the first Avatar to go in the Hall of Fame, because he has become the most interesting character in the saga. And it's starting to feel like a grand space saga. And I think these movies are going to age really well. I think in like 15, 20 years, there's going to be kids growing up watching these, and they're going to be like, this was an incredible saga. And the whole cultural impact thing is starting to go away, because I think a lot of people are like me that like kind of liked the first two, but really felt like this was impressive. And it was weird because I walked out of the theater and I wasn't that blown away, because I'm like, the ending, and I didn't love the ending. But the more and more it sat with me, I'm like, okay, but in a vacuum, did you like that ending? I'm like, yeah, I just felt like it was similar to 1 and 2. And I'm like, well, but if you just watch that by itself, it's a good ending. I'm like, yeah, I guess it's true. Maybe it's bad. Maybe it's bad ratings for me. But regardless, 5th best movie of the year. What's the 4th best movie of the year, you asked? Sinners. That's the answer. Sinners was great. This is probably a lot of people's number 1 best movie of the year. I really liked Sinners. I enjoy the fact we had like potentially Oscar-winning like depth and artistry from Ryan Coogler, mixed with a fun vampire slasher flick. That, like, not really slasher, but like a fun like Dusk Till Dawn style movie with like really interesting like beats into like Prohibition era black culture, I think would be like the best way to describe it. I mean, there's things going on in this movie that I probably don't even fully grasp. That's actually not true. I definitely don't fully grasp them. There's a lot of depths to this film, and Ryan Coogler really impressed me because I love Creed 1. Adore Creed 1. And I love Black Panther. I think those movies are awesome. I still need to watch Fruitvale Station. But this was the movie where he's like, you guys forgot, because I've been making Black Panther movies, that I still got this shit. And now I got a big budget. I can do whatever the hell I want. Watch this. You know, the usher, like the, watch this, watch this. That's essentially what he did. Because this movie, you know what wasn't a sin? This movie. This was a blessing, because this movie's gas. And if this was your favorite movie of the year, I get it. I fully get it. Why is it not higher? I just like the other movies more, but this movie's awesome. The fun thing about Sinners is like this movie's gonna live on TNT as just a banger. But there's also people that are like, this is the best shot movie of the year and should win, you know, like an Oscar for cinematography. And I don't know if either group's wrong. And I think that's what's cool. Is like it's got like it's gonna be just a fun movie that lives on. It's got the vibes like something you rent out at like Blockbuster. You know what I mean? When I was younger, I used to go to Blockbuster. I know I don't look like I'm that old, but I was, you know, when I was really little, we'd go to Blockbuster. And, like, this feels like something you rent, like, from, like, a video rental store. But yet it's, like, really good. And the music. The music, right? Like, the music. It's incredible. And, I mean, what else we got to say? Michael B. Jordan, this was, like, his also, like, yeah, I can act. You guys forget, because I'm in, like, Without Remorse. But, like, I can act. And Jack O'Connell blew me away in this. That was awesome. And Miles Caton, or Catton, however you pronounce it, he's younger than me, and he absolutely just kills this movie. I mean, the movie low-key runs on him as Sammy, and it works. And Haley Steinfeld, this was great for her. I mean, she's been doing great work in the animation department for the Into the Spider-Verse films. But to see her have a lead role, like this is going to be a role I think that gets her roles in the future, because she did such a good job. And you want to talk about people throwing around the word iconic, her performance of this actually might be, because like this really stuck with people. You know, her saying things that I can't repeat really stuck with people and really stood out to people. So like that's going to be something that ages quite well. Like for her, I guess. Might be a breakout role for her. So shout out to her. All right, so you're like, there are 3 movies better than Sinners? And I'm like, yeah, for me there were. And one of those was, of course, Wake Up Dead Man. Josh O'Connor won the Glenn Powell Award for this movie. I mean, come on. This is the best Knives Out movie. I know you think I'm crazy. I think Knives Out 1's great. I actually watched Glass Onion like 2 days after watching this, and I watched Knives Out like 3 days after watching this, because I wanted to check, see what was best one. Knives Out 1 is excellent. I mean, absolutely excellent. I love Knives Out 1. It's not better than this, though. It's just not. I think, now maybe part of it's recency bias. Like, one could very much argue that I'm getting a little too big for my britches because I'm just a big fan of knives. Like, I get it. I get it. But the way I feel right now, I think Wake Up Dead Man is the best one. I like the setting of Knives Out 1 more. I really like Ana de Armas and Knives Out 1. I understand that. I really like Benoit Blanc's character in Knives Out 1. I love Knives Out 1. I debated putting it in the Hall of Fame this year. But I think Wake Up Dead Man succeeds in the fact that while I think the main cast is less interesting than the Thrombly family from Knives Out 1, I think this movie overall, plot-wise, is the most engaging of any of the Knives Out films. And I think it is so interesting that we gave Benoit Blanc a character arc. And I think it would have been very easy in this film at the end when Father Judd asks him if he wants to come to the service to do the, you know what, maybe I will. And there's like the moment where it's like, oh, did, Benoit Blanc find God, right? And they don't do that because that would be a little cheesy and like a little on the nose. But what does happen is that Benoit Blanc, spoilers for Wake Up Dead Man. Spoilers for Wake Up Dead Man. But this is the reason it's like the third best movie of the year. When he looks up and he says the road to Damascus, and he gives grace to essentially the culprit. And Benoit Blanc flat out told us that he loves the moment where he reveals all, and he gets the Scooby-Doo pulling the mask off the villain. That's what he lives for. And yet he learned from Father Judd to give grace to others. It was just a beautiful lesson, and it was so touching. And I think, I always talk about when I watch a movie, if it sticks with me, that's how you know it was really special. If it really sticks in your mind, whether, the worst thing a movie can do is out. If it meant nothing to you, that's the worst type of movie. If something was truly a terrible movie and you had a great laugh at it, it's way better than a movie you got nothing out of, right? And so the thing was with this movie is like really stuck with me. And I thought it really seemed to stick with a lot of people. And I loved everything it was doing. So Wake Up Dead Man, third best movie of the year. What's the second best movie of the year, though? F1, the movie. I mean, come on, baby. There was a moment in time I was afraid this movie wasn't going to be that great. Started hearing good things about it. And then the reviews were kind of like, well, we don't know. It's not the best. And I was like, okay, if Joseph Kosinski nails this, he's officially one of my boys. Like oh, that's an interesting question. Could the Glenn Powell Award go to a director? Probably not. Maybe its own separate award. But Joseph Kosinski is officially one of my guys. Like one of these directors, I got to see everything he makes. And his next movie is a Miami Vice movie. Still upset he didn't cast Glenn Powell in it. Still upset Austin Butler slid in. Austin Butler, you better kill it as Sonny Crockett. Because the pressure's on now because you stopped it from being Glenn Powell, which is some bullshit, but whatever. This movie, is it as good as Top Gun Maverick? No. Is it almost? Yeah, maybe. This movie. Whew. It's Top Gun with cars. And you know who likes the movie Cars, the 2006 animated Pixar classic? Me. I love that movie. So to do Top Gun with cars, I'm in. I don't mean like the film is literally Top Gun with Lightning McQueen. I mean like cars, like the object. I just thought it was a funny gag. What is there to say about F1? Well, we're going to talk about it more later, so I'll hold off some. This movie we're going to talk about in just the best films I watched in general. Let's just be honest. This movie's awesome. One of those movies that I remember when I was in the theater for Top Gun Maverick. I remember I sat back right side. I was underneath the speaker because it was loud when the plane took off. I sat in that same spot for F1, knowing it was a Joseph Kosinski film and knowing what I was in for. And during the race sequences, incredible. Absolutely incredible. The feeling and the momentum the film gives you, undescribable. It's like a sports movie mixed with the vibes of Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick is a flashy blockbuster kind of war movie, right? This is a flashy blockbuster kind of sports movie. And I adored it. F1 was awesome. And it almost beat out the number one movie of the year. And let's be honest, if the number one movie of the year wasn't what it was, I might like F1 more. F1 really spoke to me. F1 was a movie that I was pretty excited for but not stoked about, and it blew me away. But the number one movie was the movie that I was most excited for this year. And as long as it was good and it met my expectation, there was never going to be any doubt of what was the best film of 2025 for me. And that's Superman. I mean, come on. This movie, I think, is going to age really well. I do. I think this is going to have a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man effect where, like, people like it now, but in, like, 20 years, when kids who watch this when they're younger grow up, it's going to be considered one of the best superhero movies ever. This is the best Superman movie since Superman 2. This might just be the best Superman movie, period. Yeah, probably. I adored this movie. I mean, I cut a whole hour podcast talking about how much I love this movie. This is one of the most excited I've ever been for a movie in my life. I cannot wait for the sequel. We're doing Brainiac, Lex Luthor. This is the best on-screen Lex Luthor we've ever had, which is so important to me because Lex Luthor is my favorite villain. And Superman, my favorite DC hero. And to see them properly represented, I mean, there was no doubt what was going to be the best film from 2025 for me. Like, it wasn't really a contest. You do a good representation of Superman, and a good representation of Lex Luthor, and a good representation of Lois Lane, and a good representation of Jimmy Olsen. Low-key didn't matter what the story was, regardless of the fact the story was great. I loved the story. I understand some people think it gets too sci-fi and all over the place. I loved it. It felt like a Silver Age comic book come to life. I know there's complaints about, Guy Gardner and some of the other characters. I loved it. Superman's everybody's friend. That's how Superman is. I loved this movie. I did. I think it's really good. I think it's a blast. I love everything that this movie's doing. I even love the Superman suit. I think its fast-paced nature really makes it fun to watch. And, I saw it 3 times in theaters, guys. This movie's awesome. I love Superman, and I love this movie. So, all right, now it is time for me to read off every single movie I watched in 2025 in preparation for the best films I watched from 2025, because that was just the ones that released this year. What about just the best films in general? All right, took a big swig of water, so I'm ready to go. Here we go. January, I started off the year with Juror Number 2, followed up with Sherlock Holmes, and Mufasa the Lion King, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and Inglourious Basterds. February, I watched Captain America Brave New World. That was a 2025 release. Blades of Glory, Bloodsport, and Coach Carter. March, I watched The Lost City, Kickboxer, Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, Central Intelligence, 16 Candles, and War Dogs. April, I watched The Town, Malibu's Most Wanted. That was a fun movie. Malibu's Most Wanted. Sinners from 2025. Scream, the 2022 one, and The Babysitter. Thunderbolts, that's a 2025 release. I watched that in May, along with Tropic Thunder, Superman the Movie, A Working Man, which is a 2025 release, Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, which is a 2025 release, and Captain America the Winter Soldier. June, I watched Mission Impossible 1, Mission Impossible 2, The Materialist, which is from 2025, How to Train Your Dragon, which is from 2025, 28 Years Later, which is from 2025, and Rope. July, I watched F1 the Movie, which is from 2025, Superman, which is from 2025, Jurassic World Rebirth, which is from 2025, Happy Gilmore 2, which is from 2025, and The Fantastic Four First Steps, which is from 2025. August, I watched Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, The Naked Gun, which is from 2025, and the Lego Batman movie. September, I watched One Battle After Another, which is from 2025. Sorry, I misspoke. One Battle After Another, which is from 2025. October, I watched The Game, Zombieland, Hard Eyes, 2025, Scream 6, White Chicks, Ready or Not, and Coffee. November, I watched Predator Badlands from 2025, Frankenstein, which is from 2025, The Running Man from 2025, and Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole. December, I watched Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, Cabin in the Woods, Boss Level, Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Wake Up Dead Man, A Knives Out Mystery, which is from 2025, Glass Onion, which is a Knives Out mystery also, which is not from 2025, and then Knives Out, the first one, and then Avatar, Fire and Ash, which is from 2025. Woo! Okay, that was a lot. Wow. All right. So now we move into the best movies of the year. And this is not a set number, how many I want to talk about. And I must say, rereading the list, there was one movie that I'm really tossing and turning about, because I can't decide if it should make the list. But I don't have an image to throw up for it. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm doing my top 13 best movies of the year. If I did 14, Rope would be here. I might have to rewatch Rope next year. Rope was so fringe Hall of Fame. So fringe Hall of Fame. And I love Rope. One of my favorite Hitchcock movies. If you haven't seen Rope, Hitchcock tried to do a one-take movie back in like 1948. It's incredible. And Jimmy Stewart is the lead. It's a great time. Really thought Rope was hilarious. It's a very funny movie. Really loved Rope. So Rope, shout out to you. I forgot to put an image in here to shout out Rope. All right, so I've put in some years 25 movies in the Hall of Fame. Last year I put in 7, okay? So for the 2025 Sort of Sporties, how many movies are going to Hall of Fame? 12. 12 Hall of Fame movies from the 62 movies I watched. That's pretty impressive. That's about once every 5 movies finding a Hall of Famer. It's very impressive. Now, some of you might be asking, Ryan, what the hell is the Hall of Fame? So the thing is with the movies is that I'm obviously a big fan. And I wanted to, at some point, commemorate and create a list of what my favorite films were. And the way I decided to do it is that when I watch a movie in a year, I write down in my notes app what month I watched it, right? Then that movie is now eligible for my Hall of Fame at the end of the year into the Sort of Sporties. For example, back in 2022, I watched The Matrix, okay? The Matrix was listed, I think, as the 13th best movie of the year. It did not get put in the Hall of Fame. So that means the next year, in 2023, if I watch Matrix again, it could once again be eligible to be put up for the Hall of Fame. You can continually be put up for the Hall of Fame until you're put in. The thing is, I watch Beverly Hills Cop every year on my birthday. My favorite movie of all time. Beverly Hills Cop was one of the first inductees into the Hall of Fame. When I first created the Hall of Fame, I just put in some of my movies that I automatically knew needed to be in the Hall of Fame. Beverly Hills Cop was one of them, alongside of Raiders of the Lost Ark, just Spider-Man movies in general, any Spider-Man movie. I understand I don't even like the Amazing ones that much, but it doesn't matter. I'm just putting all Spider-Man movies in there. It was just for the best. Moneyball and the Lego Movie, that was the initial class of instant Hall of Famers. I knew those are my favorite movies of all time. They needed to be in there. And since then, we've inducted over 20, I think we've almost hit 40 movies that have also been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Some of them are movies I've seen before. Die Hard won Movie of the Year in 2023, and it was the top-ranked movie from Best Movies I Watched in 2023. I'd seen Die Hard before, but it was just the first year I had the system of the Hall of Fame to put Die Hard in, right? La La Land, I also watched for the first time in 2023. I'd never seen La La Land. It won 3rd that year, and so it was the 3rd best movie of the year, and it was put in the Hall of Fame. So there was no set amount of movies to be put in the Hall of Fame, right? This year, I decided to put 12 movies in. And then I just think about, okay, well, how many movies do I want to talk about? Because I could talk about 40 movies, but only put 5 in the Hall of Fame. The top 5 would go in the Hall of Fame, and the bottom 35 I would just talk about. This year, like I said, 12 movies are going in the Hall of Fame, but I want to talk about 13. There's one movie I want to discuss because I really loved it, but it is not going in the Ryan Klinger Hall of Fame. And if you're like, why don't you call it the Hall of Film? Shut up. Everybody says that. And, I like it being in the Hall of Fame. Hall of Film? A little hokey, don't you think? All right. Anyways, let's get into it. We're already an hour and a half into the Sort of Sporties. It's been great. It's been great. You guys have been great. But let's get into it. So what is the 13th best movie I watched this year? What is not going into the Hall of Fame? Why do I want to talk about one movie not going to the Hall of Fame? That movie's Inglourious Basterds. I really like Inglourious Basterds. Okay, and some of you might remember that in 2023, Inglourious Basterds was ranked, I think we put it, 2022 was the year. Yes, I think 2022. Inglourious Basterds was the 11th best movie I watched that year, and 10 movies went to the Hall of Fame. So this is the second time now that Inglourious Basterds has come up just a tad short in the rankings for the Hall of Fame. And first of all, it was funny because the way I do it is I sit down and I look at all the movies I watched the year and I just put, okay, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about this. Then I make the list and I go, okay, rank all these. And I sit there and it takes a little bit and someone will be like, I like this more than this. And I sat there and I changed it, right? And then I go, okay, is this movie going to the Hall of Fame? No. Is this movie going to the Hall of Fame? No. Is this movie going to the Hall of Fame? Yes. Everything else above it? Yes? Yes. Okay, we're done. That's the cutoff. Well, this year, I was like, I want to talk about these 13 movies. And I'm like, well, is Inglourious Basterds going to Hall of Fame? I'm like, I don't think so. I wouldn't consider it one of my favorites. I'm sorry. So, Inglourious Basterds. It's just always a bridesmaid, never a bride for Inglourious Basterds. And maybe that's fitting. I mean, the movie is about Inglourious Basterds. I mean, they're bastards. So, not the bastards can't find love. but it's especially Brad Pitt, quite a handsome bastard. But why do I want to talk about Inglourious Basterds? Did I do this just for the gag? No, not really. I truly mean it. This was the 13th best movie I watched this year. Some people consider this Quentin Tarantino's best film. Some people consider it his masterpiece. One of my best friends, Merrick, loves this movie. He thinks it's one of his best. No, I think he thinks it's Tarantino's best movie. And I fully get that sentiment. I do not think so. I think this is a really good Tarantino movie, but I like Jackie Brown, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Django Unchained, all more than Inglourious Basterds. What is my problem with Inglourious Basterds? That's the interesting thing. I have no problems with this movie. I love this movie. I think it's really good. It is just not one of my favorites. But the thing with Inglourious Basterds is that it's a damn good movie. And it is utterly impressive that I've never seen a movie pull off this much dialogue that's not English so well. Like, you don't even think about the fact the majority of the film isn't spoken in English. You are that engaged in the plot. And I love the structure of this film. I think it's really effective, the chapter system and how we follow this narrative. And I think it's interesting because I think most people would think it's non-linear, but it is linear. It's just broken up into chapters. But regardless, it is really, really engaging, and it is a really crisp movie. It is a long movie. I think this is 2 hours, 30 minutes plus. It might be like 240. Does not feel like that at all. It flies by. And obviously, Christoph Waltz gets a lot of credit for his performance as Hans Landa, and he deserves it. The Gorlami scene is hilarious. I love it every time. And Michael Fassbender, underrated in this movie. Like, he does a really great job when he shows up. The whole movie is essentially just great scenes. Like, it's a lot of scenes in this movie, and you really get to sit and live in the atmosphere of Inglourious Basterds. And I think it's what makes it a movie that really sticks out in people's minds. Tarantino's very good about keeping you in a scene without you realizing it, and this movie does that really well. So that is why Inglourious Basterds was the 13th best movie I watched this year. But it's just not going to the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. The 12th best movie I watched this year, and it is going in the Hall of Fame, is a movie we've actually already talked about, and that's Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. Talked a lot about this. This movie's great, and I love the setting in the spring. I cannot wait for the next Knives Out movie. I'm hoping it's set in the winter, so we can have one for each season. But I think this is not, like I said, not as interesting of a crew of suspects as Knives Out 1, but I think a much more interesting narrative. I really think Knives Out 1, the first hour, is so good. Knives Out 1 did not make the list. It was probably like the 15th or 16th best movie I watched this year. But Knives Out 1, the first hour is perfect. Genuinely perfect. The second hour, I think, is still really good, but it's not as good as that first. This movie gets better every hour you're watching it. And I think that is the strength of this film, is that the opening 40 is great, and then Benoit Blanc shows up. And you're like, oh, shit! We haven't even gotten to the real shit yet. Exactly. This movie is so well paced, and I think it feels long, I must admit. It does feel long, but not in a bad way, because you want to stay in this movie because it is absolutely great. And so that is why Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, my favorite of the Knives Out trilogy, is going in the Hall of Fame. So shout out to Wake Up Dead Man, because, I mean, I'm really, really proud of it. I know my graphic actually messed up. If you're watching the video, I gotta fix this real quick. Put the graphic right here. There we go. Ryan Klinger Film Hall of Fame. And it's very deserved, because this will be our first of 12 movies going in the Hall of Fame. It's a lot. Not as much as 2023. We put 25 movies in the Hall of Fame that year. That was a big year. That was a big year. But all right, that's it for number 12. So what is number 11? What was the 11th best movie I watched this year? Well, for a long-time listener to the show, you might know David Fincher is one of my favorite directors of all time. And Big Daddy Dave directed a film back, I think in 1997, I want to say, with Michael Douglas. He made this in between Seven and Fight Club, and I think it's become very underrated. I watched it for the first time this year, and I thought, wow, what a picture. And I immediately recommended it to a good friend of mine who I knew would really like it, and that is The Game. Here's the thing with The Game. I don't really want to tell you anything about it. I don't. I think The Game is best when you know nothing going in. That is what I knew. I knew nothing about it, other than the fact that it was funny. And it is funny. And Sean Penn's in it. I saw it a few weeks after seeing One Battle After Another, and I thought that, I was like, man, Sean Penn, this guy's great in everything. He's great in One Battle After Another. I don't want to say anything else. It's going to the Hall of Fame, though. I mean, it's very deserving. I love the game. It was absolutely awesome, so shout out the game. It's not about basketball. I should warn you. It's not about that. Just watch it. It's great. Absolutely great time. You will never top the first watch, though. Maybe the second time is also good. But you'll see when you... I shouldn't say anything else. All right. That was the 11th best movie I watched this year. What is the 10th best movie I watched this year? White Chicks. I had never seen White Chicks before. This is the first time I've ever watched White Chicks, and this movie's hilarious. The Wayans brothers just kill this movie. If you've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. This movie's hilarious. One of the great early 2000s comedies, and it's just a funny movie. I mean, it just really makes me laugh. And the premise is so absurd. You tell anybody this premise, they're like, no way, it's a real movie. And it is, and it's very funny. So it makes me laugh so much. It's such an absurd film, but it's absolutely hilarious. I hope the Wayans brothers can nail this next scary movie that comes out in 2026, because this movie is a great one. It's going to the Hall of Fame, so it's so good. Yeah. All right, next up is a movie that I watched a few years back, and I thought, that's pretty good. I watched it actually on an airplane. I was like, a lot of people have hyped this up. I don't think I love it, but it's okay. Back in May, it was one of the last weeks of school, my roommate and I were like, what do you want to watch? And we brought this movie up. And we watched it and it clicked. And I was like, wait, I think I love this movie. That movie is Tropic Thunder. I mean, come on. This movie's hilarious. This is an excellent spoof comedy. I don't even know if is it truly just a spoof comedy? I don't know. I love Ben Stiller. I am a massive fan of Ben Stiller. I should have given him more credit when we were talking about Severance, because, I mean, he is an incredible director on Severance. Ben Stiller is truly just a genius. He knows how to make great films, much like Adam Sandler does. He just chooses to make great comedies, which is also very difficult. Making great comedies is really hard to do, and Ben Stiller can do it. My only problem with Tropic Thunder is I don't love Jack Black's character. It doesn't really work for me. I don't think it's that funny. That type of character, like what he's making fun of, I think 30 Rock does a way better job with Tracy Morgan in 30 Rock. Like, I think he does a better job of being like the crazy on drugs guy. Is Tracy Morgan really, is this character really supposed to be on drugs in 30 Rock? Either way, I'm saying that character is, I think, better done in like 30 Rock, like that type of, making fun of that type of celebrity. But Jack Black himself is great. I'm just saying I don't really like that character. Not that I know Jack Black personally, and I'm not trying to hurt his feelings. It's more so I just think Jack Black's good in everything, so it's very surprising to me that I don't love him in this, but I just don't. And so everything else in this movie I love. I think it's hilarious. And Robert Downey Jr. in this, everybody's talked about it before. He got nominated for an Oscar for Tropic Thunder. That's incredible. And Matthew McConaughey's in this. You guys know I love Matthew McConaughey in anything. He's one of them. He would, if we had done the Glenn Powell Award years ago, Matthew McConaughey would definitely have won. I mean, Matthew McConaughey, we probably just should have named the award after him. I mean, he was one of the reasons. Like, Texas guy, maybe he's part of the reason I like Glenn Powell. I'll watch anything with Matthew McConaughey in it. Matthew McConaughey's in this. He's great. There's another actor that's in this that gives a great performance, but if you haven't seen this movie, I don't want to tell you who it is, because one of the most shocking things you'll ever see in your life, and he is the highlight, one of the highlights of the film. There's a lot of highlights. This movie is hilarious. I love this movie. It's going to the Hall of Fame. All right, next up. This movie is a favorite from my childhood and one of my favorite movies when I was younger, and I still love it. And I honestly wonder if I ranked it a little too low. I really love the movies I put above it, though, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. But I truly love Superman the movie, the 1978 classic from Richard Donner, starring Christopher Reeve as Superman. And it's, I mean, come on. Like, this is one of the movies ever. And I mean that. Like, this is such an important film. I mean, they had Mario Puzo write the script for it. Marlon Brando, Jor-El. Margot Kidder is a great Lois Lane. I just want to say, I'm not just throwing out names, just throw out names. I mean it. Margot Kidder, great Lois Lane. I mean, she is great as Lois Lane. And this was, for the longest time, the best Superman movie. Other than Superman 2. I actually like Superman 2 more. But I didn't watch Superman 2 this year. But this, for the longest time, one of the best Superman movies. And the baseline for Superman. You guys know I love Smallville. A lot of Smallville's vibes come from this movie. I adore this movie. I love this movie. Anytime it's on. Like, we're getting into the really special. Like, I love these movies. And I love Superman the movie from 1978. And I think Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor is not my favorite Lex Luthor, but I still really like his performance. I like what Gene Hackman's doing. He's just doing a very different Lex Luthor than what I'd like to see, but it's still great for what it was. And so I nothing but praise for Superman the movie. I love Superman the movie. As soon as I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, that's going Hall of Fame. Like I could probably recite most of this movie. Not the lines, but like the way it plays out and the way it's shot. It's a beautiful movie. And it's so simple. Like Superman really doesn't do much crime fighting, like in the traditional, like there's no big monsters to fight like in the new Superman. I like the new Superman, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying it's such a simple story, and I think that's why it's connected with so many people. And I think Superman the movie is a beautiful film, like truly a beautiful film, and so that's why it's going to the Hall of Fame. And we are now going to follow up that beautiful soliloquy with a movie that I think most people would consider bad, and a movie that even I think has many issues, both technologically and it's aged poorly. There's a lot of problems in this film. There's a lot of things that I do not agree with appearing on screen. But the highs are exceptionally high in this film. It is a film with a lot of problems, and I do not stand by a lot of the things it has to say. And that's Bloodsport. Listen, if you've seen Bloodsport, you know what I'm talking about. Bloodsport is aged quite poorly. A very 80s film, and not great representation of other cultures. That is a very true statement. Bloodsport is so insanely goofy, though, and so insane that I can't help but have a good time when I watch it. Jean-Claude Van Damme is so much fun to watch in literally everything. He is a blast to watch, and he's a blast to watch in Bloodsport. Can he act? Of course not. He is a bad actor. That does not stop the film from being incredibly entertaining. This is one of the most entertaining movies ever created, because even the things that don't work, you cannot look away. So that is why Bloodsport is an all-time classic for me. It is a movie you put on and you laugh at and you have a good time, because there are some really fun things going on here. But it is just absurd bullshit. But I'll never forget the first time I watched it thinking, how the hell is this a real movie? And it's always stuck with me. And I just greatly enjoy Bloodsport for all of its flaws and all the things that I'm like, we cannot be doing this. But there are some moments that shine through in this movie that make it infinitely entertaining and just a great time to watch. So that's why Bloodsport is going to the Hall of Fame. It's also insane that the guy this movie is based off of claims it to be a true story. Watch it with that in your mind. The fact that this guy tried to claim this movie is a true story, that is insane to me. It's such crazy bullshit that like it just makes the movie 5 times more entertaining. So Bloodsport going to the Hall of Fame. All right, 6th best movie of the year. What was it? The Lego Batman movie. Listen, everybody loves Lego Batman movie. I actually almost ranked this higher, but I was afraid of the fact that this movie has this movie's gotten more popular, because I saw this in theaters. And I remember loving it. I think it was awesome. Absolutely adored it. And then over the last, I would say 2-3 years, I think clips of it, just like on like social media and people making edits and just people that grew up with it talking about it, being like, you know what movie I like? The Lego Batman movie. It's become like a bit of a classic. Like it's become a movie that people are like, oh, like you walk up to somebody who's like 20 years old and you're like, do you like Lego Batman movies? Like, yeah, I love Lego Batman movie. Like it's become one of those. And listen, like it's like one of those, like some guy would post like stayed up late watching Lego Batman movie and all the comments are like ball knowledge. And there's nothing wrong with that. This movie is great. I love this movie. But I am saying I didn't want to let that like affect my ranking of it. So maybe I was a little harsh on it just because I'm like, I don't want it to become overrated, because I kind of think it, like now I'm starting to look for flaws in it, because I think it's like awesome. I think it's arguably the best Batman movie ever. I would say the top 3 are this, The Dark Knight, and The Batman. But the Lego Batman movie is hilarious. One of the funniest movies ever made. One of my favorite animated movies ever. Why is it 6th? Why is it not higher? Well, I do think the last 30 aren't as good. I don't think they're bad. Still a huge fan of this movie. But I think when we do like all the big monsters fighting together, him coming together with Joker at the end really works. No doubt in my mind. I like it. But when he like leaves everybody and he's in the mech and everything, like I understand it completely. I just don't find it as engaging as everything before it. There is a super fast pace hilarity to it early on. And I know eventually the movie has to wrap up. I think the Lego movie has an incredible ending. I think it is super effective. When Emmett goes to the real world and all that, I think it's really good. I don't think the ending Lego Batman movie is up to snuff of the Lego movie. That is why it's a little bit lower than the Lego movie in my opinion. But really, ever since we hit Superman, we are in good. And you're like, you just put Bloodsport in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, Bloodsport's just an absurd film. Bloodsport's just, it's but this is a genuinely great movie, and that's why it's going to the Hall of Fame. So what's the fifth best movie I watched this year? Well, we kind of just mentioned it. It's The Dark Knight. I honestly couldn't decide whether to put Batman Begins or The Dark Knight Rises in the Hall of Fame. They ended up kind of coming in like 18, 19 range for the best movies I watched this year. Maybe I'll rewatch them in 2026, reevaluate. But The Dark Knight's the best one. I went through a period where I thought Batman Begins is the best one. I went through a period I thought Dark Knight Rises is the best one. Then I settled on the fact that the truth is the truth, The Dark Knight. And The Dark Knight, it's not that fun to talk about because, like, what is there left to say? This has kind of become, like, the go-to, like, oh, it's the best movie of all time. Oh, it's like, bro, you've seen The Dark Knight? Like, it's kind of replaced. Like, Interstellar and Dark Knight have kind of replaced, I would say, like, The Godfather and like, people talking about, like, great films. That's really impressive for what it's worth. But, like, there's just not a lot for me to say. Like, everybody likes The Dark Knight. And, like, I like The Dark Knight. It's great. I mean, I think the reason it's not my favorite Batman movie is, like, I think it's a perfect crime film, whereas I think The Batman is, like, a perfect Batman film. I think is more of a crime film. But what it is a really good crime film. Like a really good crime film. And the Two Boats stuff is awesome. And everything with Two-Face is really well done. And I think it's great. So, I love The Dark Knight. I mean, I've tossed and turned for years over what's Nolan's best movie. I don't know. I think like every week I pick a different one. Maybe it's this. Let's hope The Odyssey makes it clear it's just the best one. Make it simple. You know what I mean? This is going to the Hall of Fame. All right, next up. This is a movie that I loved when I was younger. And my roommate also loved it when he was younger. And so we were sitting there and talking about it. We're like, okay, let's put this on one night. Let's watch it. Relive it. We're about 30 minutes in, and we kind of look at each other and we're like, wait a minute. This is really good. Like really good. We are not just enjoying this off nostalgia. The Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole, is a legitimately epic film. Now, you might be laughing right now. Zack Snyder directed this shit, and this is my favorite Zack Snyder movie. This movie is awesome. I am telling you, this movie is epic and grand, and I wish we had gotten sequels. I liked this movie so much when I was younger, I went out and had the books. Me and my sister. Well, my sister went out and got the books, but I read some of them too. Guardians of Ga'Hoole rocks. Watch this. You will not be disappointed. It's shockingly intense and a bit violent and a bit scary for a kid's movie, I must admit. The scene where Soren flies through the rain is genuinely perfect. It is a beautiful film. And the thing is, the Zack Snyder slow-mo works so much better in animation. I wish he had done more in animated films. And this movie, guys, it is beautiful. It looks incredible. How did they do this in 2010? I saw this in the theater. I was blown away then. I rewatched it as an adult, and I'm still blown away. I will show my kids this movie. It is, I think, perfect. I love this movie. I think it is so underrated. I don't understand. I know, like, people have made videos on it before and kind of joked about it. I don't see it. I think this movie's awesome. It is like a grand epic fantasy, and it's about owls. I don't even think about it. Like, I'm just like, yeah, it's great. I don't understand how it's not more popular. I love this movie. I absolutely adore Guardians of Ga'Hoole, and that's why it's going to the Hall of Fame. This movie is incredible. They also had Owl City do a song for it. I think they just did it because it was funny, because it was Owl City. But guess what? The song is awesome. The song is incredible. It is an elite needle drop. Guardians of Ga'Hoole is so good. Like, it's so good. Like, I debated putting it 1. I'm not going to lie to you. I debated. It is that good. Instant Hall of Fame. So good. Next up is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This is one of the best movies of all time. There, I said it. Are you going to revoke my cinephile card? Oh, this guy just put Captain America: The Winter Soldier above Dark Knight. Sue me, I want to be wanted. Sue me, I want to be wanted. Sue me, I want to be wanted. It's getting late. It's like 1 a.m. now. We're still live. I think I'm just starting to say shit. Yeah. So Captain America: Winter Soldier. I just put it above Dark Knight. Why is that? I think it's better. I think Captain America: Winter Soldier is. There's a period there where people are finally giving this the credit it deserved, and now I think it's kind of gone away. And I'm like, no. This movie rocks. This is one of the best Marvel movies they ever made. This is the most interesting use of Captain America's character in any movie ever. Because Captain America 1 is good. I think it's really good. And it does such a good job being just a character study into like Steve Rogers and basically showing us how he's... It's very hard to make a movie about just a good person and make him interesting. Like, think about like Luke Skywalker is just a good dude. It's really not that interesting. Like Han Solo and Leia and all them are more interesting. I think Lando Calrissian is more interesting. When I was younger, Lando Calrissian was my favorite characters. I don't think like Harry Potter is that interesting of a guy. I like Ron and Fred and George more. Fred and George are my favorites. Ron and Fred and George is my boys. So I'm saying it is hard to make this the good guy, which is a nice good guy, which is Steve Rogers' whole thing. It's hard to make that interesting. How do you do that? Well, you introduce somebody who's a bit of an anti-hero. He's a bit of a, he's the reverse. He's a bit of a bad dude turned good. And that is Tony Stark. That was interesting for the Avengers. Well, what are you going to do in Captain America: The Winter Soldier? What if you pair him with somebody who's doing the same type of job, but they're not as clean cut? It's Black Widow, right? And what if you make it this country that he put so much trust and so much faith in, he believes so much in the core values of, doesn't even represent what he thought it did? And it makes him question his entire identity. Captain America, what does that mean? And then you represent that through his friend, somebody he thought was his best friend, who he thinks is someone else than who they are, but believing they can be what they used to be, much like he believes America could be the great country he once saw it as. Am I waxing poetic about a movie you don't think holds these depths? That's bullshit. I'm telling you right now, the proof is in the pudding on this one. I could also just be waxing poetic, I can't lie. But I truly do think the Russos and the script they had for this has a lot of depth to it and a lot of intrigue. And, well, not a lot. I mean, yeah, it has intrigue. I don't know why I said that. I don't know if that really goes with depth, but you know what I mean. It is such an interesting way to use Steve Rogers, and I don't think they will ever make a better movie with about Captain America. They could make better movies with him in it, but I don't think they'll ever make a more interesting use of him than this. I mean, The Winter Soldier, I never really heard of that much. It was like a comic written in the early 2000s. It's made it instantly known. People know who the Winter Soldier is. Bucky's like legit. Toss around how the word iconic is used too much. I think Bucky and Winter Soldier is iconic now. People know that. And it's because this movie's damn good. Everybody saw this movie. I remember when I went and saw this movie. I was in the 3rd grade. I still remember going. I remember what scene I used the bathroom at. Scene when Robert Redford's revealed to be evil. I came back, my buddy Merrick was sitting there in the theater, and he's like, hey, Robert Redford's evil. Well, he didn't say Robert Redford. He's like, that guy's evil. And I was like, oh, okay, good tip. Every time I watch this movie, I'm like, oh, that's great. This movie's great. Captain America: Winter Soldier is so good. That's why it's going to the Hall of Fame. And you may be thinking to yourself, Ryan, there are 2 movies we already talked about. Does that mean, yes, my friends, for the first time ever, I don't know if this will ever happen again, the best movies of the year, the 2 best movies of the year, released in this year. It's never happened before that the movie of the year was actually a movie released in the year. Sort of Sportys, movie of the year from 2022, Django Unchained. Obviously did not release in 2022, released in 2012. 2023, movie of the year, Die Hard. That released back in 1988. Movie of the year, 2024, Iron Man. That released in 2008. This year, the movie of the year, as you can guess, is Superman. But first of all, we got to talk about F1. Guys, I honestly almost thought about putting F1 as best movie of the year. I love F1. When I talk about movies that are made for me, this type of movie I want. I want something that is fun, fast-paced, but it feels epic. That's hard to do. It's hard to have a fast pace and feel epic. This feels epic. This movie has adrenaline to it. It is very similar in Ford vs. Ferrari, in which they are both movies about people driving cars, and I like both movies. But Ford vs. Ferrari is introspective, and it wants to be a thinker, and it wants to be something that says something. F1's just trying to have a good time. You know, like, Ford vs. Ferrari is a guy at the party. You go over, you sit down, and he's like, you know, how are you? Like, how you been doing? Blah, blah, blah. It's been a long time. I haven't seen you in a little bit. You know, what's been going on with you? He wants to visit. He wants to chat. You're going to have a really nice conversation. F1's got a shot ski. That's the difference. And here's the thing. It is way better to go visit with Ford versus Ferrari. That's what you should do for a while. You can do that multiple times. You can do that every weekend. And you will always get something out of it. But 1 or 2 times in the shot ski are going to be damn memorable. You're going to remember that more than visiting with him. You can't do it all the time. You can't have every movie like F1. You know, you end up getting sick of it. It's terrible. You can't hit the shot ski every time. But every once in a while, you're like, oh, hell yeah. It also depends what's in the drinks. F1 knows how to mix them, okay? I think we're probably done with that analogy. It's probably the end of it. But F1 is, if you've seen this movie, you know what's up. Like, this movie was the movie of the summer for me. I'm being serious. This movie rocked. I told everybody I know to go see this. It was incredible. This movie, it's Top Gun with cars. This is so good. It's so good. I love this movie. Also, Damson Idris is good in this too. I don't know why I just talk about Brad Pitt. Damson Idris is also great in this. He's going to be like the new Black Panther because he's so good in this. This movie's awesome. It's going to the Hall of Fame. Like, Harvey Bardem's in this. He's great. Like, the music's so good. It's like a dead-ass masterpiece. I love this movie. All right, 2025, movie of the year. I said at the end of last year's Sort of Sportys that 2025 is the year of Superman, and I couldn't have been more right. Superman is the movie of the year for 2025. I mean, was it going to be anything else? This movie reached all my expectations. I had incredibly high expectations. I went through the whole hype cycle, believing it was going to be a masterpiece, then getting concerned what if it wasn't, and then believing once again, and then walking into the theater and absolutely loving it and seeing it 3 times. I loved this movie, guys. I think it's, and like I said, I think it's going to age really well. I love it. I don't think I'm going to get tired of it. I love the music in it. I really do. I think the punk rocker thing was, really seemed to connect with people instantly, and it seems to be like it's, Superman's version of Something in the Way. And to have a movie that understood Superman for the first time since, I think, like Superman 2, and the first media piece, I think, to really get Superman since, like, Smallville or the Justice League cartoons, it was really, really special. It felt like Superman, the animated series, on the big screen, and that's exactly what I wanted. And I have a lot of faith in James Gunn DCU. I was disappointed by Peacemaker Season 2, but this movie did not disappoint me at all. I loved what we were doing in this movie. I continue to love this movie. I got it on Blu-ray for Christmas alongside F1, and they're movies I will watch again and again until I die. Do I like it as much as Beverly Hills Cop? No, but there's like no movie I like as much as Beverly Hills Cop, so that's besides the point. But this movie is awesome. I love Superman. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what you're doing because it's going in the Hall of Fame. And it is the 2025 movie of the year. I loved it. I mean, I cut like an hour-plus podcast on it. Also one of the most viewed episodes of the podcast, so shout out to those people. Whew. All right, well, we went through all the major parts of the show. Now, a quick look back before we look forward. Back to my most anticipated films of 2025. What was I most excited for? This is always fun to see what I thought I was most excited for, and then find out what I liked best. So let's look back to the 2024 Sort of Sportys, in which I claimed to be most excited for Superman. Well, that tracks. After that, my second most anticipated film was Fantastic Four: First Steps. That makes sense. I remember feeling that way at the time. After that was Fountain of Youth. It was a Guy Ritchie movie that was supposed to be kind of like an Indiana Jones style flick from him, starring John Krasinski. I think Natalie Portman is in it too. I saw that, It was on Apple TV. I watched it a couple months back. I got an hour in. I think it was like an hour 40 long. It was so bad and so boring and so nothing that I couldn't bring myself to finish it. So I just didn't. That is what I thought of Fountain of Youth. A massive disappointment. It was a terrible script. Come to find out, Guy Ritchie did not write it, which thank the Lord, because it was terrible. So, yeah, Fountain of Youth, awful movie. That's why I didn't even bother to list this movie I watched. I didn't finish it. I didn't care to finish it. It's terrible. That's rare for me, for what it's worth. I don't usually do that. So, number 4, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. I was very excited for Wake Up Dead Man, and for good reason, because it was awesome. So, 5th was Jurassic World Rebirth. Gosh, that movie was terrible. Oh my gosh. Was it as bad as Dominion? No, but it was still. And it made so much money, but less than they usually do, which is good, because we're going to get a sequel, and it's a waste of everyone's talents. Like Mahershala Ali, Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey. You guys all deserve better. Jonathan Bailey, go get ready to be the new Cyclops when they reboot the Marvel movies. I mean, let's be honest, they're going to do that. So we'll talk about it more in a second, though. 6 was The Running Man. I like The Running Man. I didn't love it, though, the way I wish I could have. I mean, I just didn't love it the way I wanted to. But it's good. Just not great. It's all right. 7 was Happy Gilmore 2. Happy Gilmore 2 was not a disappointment because it was like, there were 2 ways to take it, a really interesting way and a not that interesting way. And they went the not that interesting way. They played it safe. It wasn't that interesting. I thought the more interesting way to take it would be if you introduce, like, you completely flip the premise on its head, right? And Happy Gilmore was all about making jokes about golf by taking like a hockey player and his rough attitude to golf. What if Happy Gilmore's kid was like a hoity-toity country club kid that then wants to play hockey, and you can make fun of hockey through golf? It's probably not going to appeal to as much of the like culture that Happy Gilmore appeals to. It's become like an integral piece of golf culture and stuff. Like I get it. I get why you're not going to do that. I'm just saying it just wasn't. I mean, there were still jokes in it that were funny. Like Adam Sandler still got it. Unk still got it, but it's just not. It's not great. There's just a couple good elements to it. So yeah. 8 was Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was pretty good. I know some people love it. I thought it was pretty good. 9 was Zootopia 2. I liked Zootopia 2. I didn't like it enough to put it like in the best movies of the year, but I liked it a lot. I understand why I made a shitload of money. It's good. 10 was Avatar Fire and Ash. 11 was The Smashing Machine. 12 was Kendrick Lamar and the South Park guys that made something. That's coming out in 2026. We're going to talk about that in a second because I'm still excited for that. And then 13th was F1. Who can believe it? What an underdog story for F1 to go from being the last movie I listed for me being excited for to being the second best movie of the year, period. Not just the second best movie of 2025. The second best movie, period. Just incredible. Yeah, but also I didn't see Smashing Machine yet. I just, at that time when it came out, I didn't have a chance to go see it. It wasn't like showing anywhere near me, and I was like, I'll get to it. And I don't know. I know I said I was excited for it, but like, I don't know, guys. It just kind of lost me. I'm sorry. All right, here we go. We are now moving into, after looking back, we will now look forward to my most anticipated films of 2026. Sorry, I'm typing here. I forgot one of the movies, so I'm making sure I write it down. Okay, here we go. My most anticipated movies of 2026. A key piece here is that we're going to have a number 0 because I do not know if The Adventures of Cliff Booth are going to come out in 2026. I have not seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I am waiting to. I still have to watch Kill Bill 1 and 2. And that's it, right? That's the only Tarantino movie I have left I haven't seen. I'm trying to think. Kill Bill 1 and 2, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Hateful Eight. Those are the 4 Tarantino movies I've been holding off of because since he's only making 10, you know what I mean? Because Kill Bill 1 and 2 technically already make 10, but you know what I mean. Since he's only making 10, I pretty much got to hold out. It's like there's no rush to watch them all. We're only getting one more. So I haven't really been in a rush to finish watching all the Tarantino movies. And whenever I do, I'll probably do an episode of the podcast, or I'll do it live, where I rank all the Tarantino movies. So I'm going to put The Adventures of Cliff Booth at 0. I don't really know where I'd rank it. Maybe it would be number 1, but I'm not sure if it's really going to come out in 2026. It's David Fincher and Quentin Tarantino working together. arguably my two favorite directors working together. So like this might be my most anticipated movie of the year. Probably that or The Odyssey. If I was ranking, I mean, spoilers for what's gonna be number one. It's gonna be The Odyssey, but I'm really excited for Adventures of Cliff Booth, despite the fact I haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood yet. Like I said, I'm holding off. It's gonna be the last one I watch. If we know this is coming out in 26, I'm gonna have to watch all the rest of Tarantino's movies this year, which is very exciting. But I've just been holding off because I know I'm not getting them anymore, even though he's my favorite director. So, all right, let's start at number 12 though. The Kendrick Lamar, Trey Parker, and Matt Stone film. I don't know if it has a title yet. It's supposed to come out this year. I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar fan, my second favorite rapper right after Childish Gambino. So I'm really interested to see what he has to say, and I'm sure this movie is going to be interesting. So, 11 is Hunger Games: Sunrise and the Reaping. Haymitch is my favorite character. It's a movie about Haymitch. Apparently the book's good. Excited for this. Hopefully we get one more Hunger Games. We have like 2 trilogies. That'd be fun. So, the first one's a quadrilogy, but it's 3 stories. I just broke this. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. 10 is A Social Reckoning. I don't know if this is going to be good, but it's going to be interesting. Sequel to The Social Network, directed by Aaron Sorkin. Aaron Sorkin's directorial work has never been as impressive as his work he's written, but I really love the movies he's written. His best movie he's directed is obviously Moneyball. I think it's pretty universally agreed on. Maybe he can finally hit that again. It's also fun that Jeremy Strong is playing Mark Zuckerberg. I think it's interesting we're going to have a different actor, different take on Zuckerberg, but he's a very different person than he was when The Social Network is about him. So I think that'll be fun. 9 is Clayface. I have 0 clue what this movie is going to be like, but I'm very interested. And it might be too scary for me. I can't lie. I'm not into horror movies. But I'm very interested to see what this is, and I'm very excited to see Clayface in 2026. I'm interested. It's such a unique idea. I'm sure they have something good planned. 8 is a Super Mario Galaxy movie. When the Mario movie came out, it was my most anticipated film of 2023. That and Killers of the Flower Moon. And this one's not number 1, but I'm very excited. I really like the Mario Bros. Movie. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but I do really like it, and I'm very excited for Mario Galaxy movie. I think it could be even better. So. 7 is How to Make a Killing, Glenn Powell's movie. It comes out in like a month, so I felt like I didn't want to rank it any higher. Him and Mark Qualley, he's going to play a rich guy knocking off, well, not a rich guy. He's a man who is set to inherit a lot of wealth, but he's going to knock off a few branches of the family tree in order to get that wealth. So he's going to start killing people. So that's going to be what's fun about How to Make a Killing. Looking forward to it. Glenn Powell, any Glenn Powell movie, you guys know I'm there, so I'm looking forward to this one. 6 is Disclosure Day. I debated putting this one higher. This is Steven Spielberg's next film, and I'm very, very, very excited to see it. Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Steven Spielberg, Aliens. I'm in. Number 5 is Supergirl. This is where we get the movies I'm stoked for. This is what I'm saying. 2026, really good year. Because like Disclosure Day, I could put as high as like 1 or 2, but yet it's 6. That shows how many interesting movies we have coming out this year. Supergirl, I'm really excited for. I like where we're taking it. I think it being like a sci-fi movie is going to be really fun. I think there's a chance this is actually like really popular. Like it's going to be so, I think there's a chance it's very different. And people are like, oh my gosh, it's a new Supergirl movie. Like I've never seen anything like this. You know, it's going to have a unique vibe to it. I know people are saying it looks a little bit Guardians of the Galaxy, but Guardians of the Galaxy style, was very unique at the time. And if you could bring something unique to the table now, that would be super interesting. So I'm really looking forward to Supergirl. I think it'd be really good. And you guys know I have trust in what we're doing with the DC. If this isn't good, I'm going to start being scared. But I'm really excited for Supergirl. So, all right, number 4 is Avengers Doomsday. Here's the thing with Avengers Doomsday. I know there's some people being impressed by the trailers coming out right now. I know. I'm not one of those people. The reason I'm excited for it is because at the end of the day, this movie is going to make like potentially $2 billion, and it is going to be a hit. Whether people like it or not, it's going to be a hit. Secret Wars will be the trigger. It will be okay, are these movies actually back, right? Because if Secret Wars makes a ton of money, now it's everybody liked Doomsday. I want this movie to be good. I want DC and Marvel to both be cooking. I've been in the DC mood as of late. I've been more in the mood for what DC has, just character-wise over the last few years. But I do truly love Marvel, obviously, and my favorite Marvel stuff is Spider-Man and X-Men. And what I think we're moving towards is after Secret Wars, we're going to reset the Marvel Universe and do a lot of X-Men and Spider-Man focused stuff, which is what I would enjoy the most. I don't care to do a new actor as Iron Man in this reboot or a new actor as Captain America in this reboot. I really hope it's not what we're doing, and I think that is where we're going after Secret Wars. And I'm very afraid of that. Like I don't really want to see that, but it's okay. Do I think this movie's going to be good? I don't know. I really don't. I'm pretty out, honestly. I'm afraid it's just going to be a cameo fest. And, like, why why is Robert Downey Jr. Doctor Doom? Because if he's alternate universe Tony Stark, that's just not Doctor Doom. Like, it's just not the character. But it's just him in name only. But then if he's not him for another universe, he just looks like Robert Downey Jr. just because? Are we really bringing back Iron Man? Like, is that what's going to happen? Is it going to be Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man versus Robert Downey Jr. Doctor Doom? Is that really? I'm excited for it because I'm beyond interested to see what they have to present to us. I'm terrified of it being a cameo fest monstrosity. I would love for it to be really good and as good as Infinity War, because I think Infinity War is an all-time classic. I think Endgame's good, but I cannot lie to you. I have not rewatched Endgame ever. I watched it in the theater. I have it on Blu-ray. I have yet to watch it again. I've seen Infinity War multiple times because it's gas. Infinity War is awesome. If they can make a movie as good as Infinity War, we're back. But I just don't know how they're going to make a movie that doesn't make me feel like the last 6 years of MCU movies really didn't mean much. In my version of Secret Wars, Mr. Fantastic is essentially the main character fighting against Doctor Doom. And in the same sense, though, I just said in my version, sometimes I do think we all get a little caught up in, especially in like long-running franchises, both TV and movies, not liking something because it's not what you wanted it to be instead of liking or disliking what it is. Does that make sense? If you don't like something, that's fine. But just because it's not what you wanted doesn't mean it's bad. Does that make sense? So I guess that's why I'm going in with high hopes, is because just because it's not the movie I would make doesn't mean it's guaranteed to be a bad movie. Because there's some choices in the Superman movie I wouldn't have done. But I was like, well, I like what they did. Even though I wouldn't have done it, I still liked it. So that's where I'm at with that. All right, number 3 is Dune Messiah. This movie's going to be good. It's Denis Villeneuve. It's Chalamet. I hope it's as good as Dune Part 2. Let's hope it's even better. This is probably the one that's going to win all the awards. It seems like they've been waiting for this one. Could it be a Return of the King situation where it's kind of unanimously considered the best? Because I know other people like Fellowship or Two Towers more. When I was younger, I liked Two Towers more. But then you get older and you realize Return of the King is probably the best one. I am concerned that maybe this one, because Messiah I know is a very different style book than Dune, that it won't be as good as 1 or 2. But I hope it is, and I have high hopes. So Dune Messiah is 3. Number 2 is Spider-Man Brand New Day. I am very excited for this. You guys know I love Spider-Man, my favorite superhero, and I'm very much looking forward to a new Spider-Man film. And I think this is, all signs are pointing to this movie being good. I'm very excited for this. I'm more excited for this than Avengers Doomsday. I think this is going to be a huge hit, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And I think we're moving. The Punisher being in it, maybe Daredevil. I mean, we've got good things brewing in this movie. And Sadie Sink, I do think, is going to be Jean Grey. I don't know if she's going to be the star of the new X-Men for the reboot, but I do think she's going to be Jean Grey. I don't know why she's in a Spider-Man movie. I hope it is for a good reason, but I also like the casting of Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, so I can't really be mad. So, all right, my number 1 most anticipated movie is The Odyssey, because it's everybody's most anticipated movie. I mean, it's the best director on the planet making a movie about arguably the most well-known story in fiction. So, I mean, it's like that, the Bible. It's not like a story. It's obviously a bunch of stories, but you know what I mean? Like, the Odyssey, the Bible, Romeo and Juliet, probably like the 3 most known stories on the earth. So, yeah, it's gonna probably be good. Like, I find it hard to believe the Odyssey is not gonna be good. And it's incredible for Nolan to, after all the clout he has coming off of Oppenheimer, to choose to do an old school Hollywood grand epic. Baller move. Just a baller move. And if he nails this, like, what the hell is he going to do next? Like, what is he going to gift us next? I truly mean gift us. Because Oppenheimer was an all-timer. I'm the guy. To make a biopic about J. Robert Oppenheimer almost make $1 billion, that's how you know you're the director of the generation. And everybody knows he's the director of the generation. This movie's probably going to make $1 billion. And it's going to be a big hit, and I cannot wait. I'm super excited for The Odyssey. It's going to be, like, hopefully another masterpiece from Nolan. And I know there's people upset about the historical accuracy. I'm not concerned. I'm excited. Tenet showed us that Nolan like actually doesn't really care about stuff as much as we thought he does, and not in a bad way. I mean that in a good way. Like he's actually more like, this kind of looks cool. I can respect that. I love it. So, all right, that is it. That is the Sort of Sporties for 2025. I loved 2025. It was a great year. Very much looking forward to 2026. As I said before, more podcasts than I'd ever done before in 2025. I also started doing the shows live, which I've really enjoyed. I started doing stuff with Fisher. I got Jonathan coming on. Had Braden come on more than usual. So I've been having more and more people come on the stuff. Obviously, I feel like I should mention the fact, if you followed me for a while, 2025 is obviously the year I had the video go viral, me naming all the NBA champions. I mean, it'd be weird if we fully ignored that. I try not to bask in that too much, but I am saying, obviously that happened. And so it was a big year, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope you had a great year, and I hope you're looking forward to 2026. If you didn't have a great year, I hope 2026 treats you even better. But I had a great one, and I'm looking forward to next year. And we got a lot of great movies coming out. Maybe this is the year we find out what the next big show is. What's the next Stranger Things? So that's just going to be sweet. And hopefully my Panthers get a win this weekend, and maybe the Panthers will just go on a Linsanity run to the Super Bowl. I wouldn't bet on it. I legitimately won't because it's probably not going to happen. But here's to 2026 is my favorite episode to record every single year, and it was great once again. And shout out to Bryce Young. He almost hosted, but he was just really busy. And next year we are going to have Robert Downey Jr. host, but he's going to be me, and we're like inexplicably he's just me, because as we know, Robert Downey Jr. can be two people, even and look the exact same as both, and it doesn't matter. So we'll have Robert Downey Jr. be me, but we'll just act like it's me, and we'll just act like it's Ryan Klinger, even though it's clearly Robert Downey Jr. We'll just ignore that. Maybe it's like an alternate universe me, or whatever. I don't know. All right, that's it. It was a bit cynical from me. I'm sorry about that. I hope Doomsday's good. I just thought it was funny. But yeah, Robert Downey Jr., you got a host next year, but you're me. We're going to test your acting skills, Robert Downey Jr. All right, that's it. Thank you all.